For a couple of teams. Catch all the action at Geelong Park now.
Did you know that ABC Listen has a little sibling?
Hi.
The ABC Kids Listen app with music to move and podcasts to play. ABC Kids Listen stimulates curiosity, fires imaginations, and fosters good listening skills.
Wow! That's a funny noise.
Discover a world of entertainment that will spark creativity in the minds of your little ones and get them up and moving. Download ABC Kids Listen today, free from your app store.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2022 AFL Premiership season. Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
For one night only, celebration starts with a capital S as Joel Selwood, the Geelong captain, becomes the first player to reach 350 games in the famous hoops. And Geelong has turned on a very big party this evening. From the St Teresa's Sharks to Sandhurst, the Bendigo Pioneers, to a premiership in his first season and a cavalcade of honours since, Selwood's established himself as a legend down here at Geelong Park. Not only is he the first cat to play 350 games, tonight he plays his 300th game with premiership teammate Tom Hawkins, the duo becoming the third pair to play 300 alongside one another in AFL-VFL history. And while tonight has a distinct flavour about it from a Geelong perspective, it's a massive game for the Western Bulldogs. They're looking to add another premiership contender to their list of victims as the Dogs press for a finals place. They started the round 8th. They're hoping they can finish the round inside the fight for the finals. Good evening and welcome to Geelong Park. Joel Peterson with you on Grandstand AFL. Great to have you company on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. It is a sellout down here at Geelong. The stands are packed in navy blue and white hoops, and it is a great sight indeed. Jess Webster's alongside me. G'day, Jess.
G'day, Joel. Great to be here on a chilly winter's night down at the Cattery. As you said, sold-out crowd. It's going to be a wonderful occasion celebrating a legend of not only the club but the game itself. And as for the Bulldogs, I mean, they just have to win tonight. So hopefully they put up a fight.
Absolutely. Of course, the last time they came here, round 14 in 2021, it was a Gary Rowan kick after the siren that separated the sides. Fingers crossed, hey, we get something similar this evening. Nathan Burke is with us on Grandstand AFL. St Kilda 300 gamer, a man who knows about a milestone or two, the Australian Football Hall of Famer. Evening, Burkie.
Evening, everyone. Glad to be here for the big one this weekend, which is fantastic. But, I've loved Joel Selwood right back from
I had a feeling you would.
When he started playing. Put it in a little bit of a context, so 350 games, it's tough to play 20 games in one season. To get to 350, you've got to play over 20 games for 17 seasons in a row.
Yep.
So 17, every year for 17 years, you get 20-plus games out. That's just a phenomenal effort, especially the way that he plays the game.
Yeah, he's got a battered head every other week, and I think 37 finals as well for Selwood, so he's had plenty of post-season action among all that. And a former schoolmate of Joel Selwood's joins us alongside Bergie tonight, the Carlton AFLW captain, Karen Peterson. G'day, Kez.
Hello, everyone. It's an absolute privilege to be here as a very proud Bendigoian. I do feel very privileged to be here to watch this one tonight, and not only is it a great occasion, but what a game to be here to witness and to be part of. Very exciting.
Yeah, for the Dogs, there's plenty riding on it. They were very impressive last week against the D's, Kez. That was a hell of a win.
It certainly was, and it was a real privilege as well to, I guess, be witness to Jamara Hugill-Hagan's 5-goal career night. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing if he's able to back up the performance that he was able to put out last week.
Yeah, the breakout game for the number one pick of a couple of years ago. What are your expectations of the Dogs tonight, Berkey?
Well, they've got to keep that progress going. Last week they took a big step forward in terms of the way that they've been playing the game. They are going to need absolutely nothing less than what they showed last week and actually improve if they're going to beat the Cats down here. So, but this is a final for them. They win this one or they beat Freo next week, there's still a chance. But the Saints winning today, if they lose today, they've lost their spot in the 8.
Yeah, so at the moment, as it stands, the Saints have gone inside the 8. 44 premiership points, a percentage of 104.3, a win to the Dogs tonight. We'll put them back inside the 8. Daniel Miles completes our team on Grandstand AFL tonight on the boundary. G'day, Dan.
G'day, Joel. Can confirm it is a chilly Geelong evening down here. The Cats have had their first win for the match, winning the toss. They're kicking with a slight breeze towards the players' stand end, confirming no late changes for either side. Brandon Parfitt, the sub for Geelong. Lockie McNeil for the Dogs.
Thanks, Dan. Out of the rugged southwest, I'm sure the conditions tonight will be no problem for our man on the boundary. Berkey, a tip?
Doggies by 2 points.
Righto, Kez.
No, I'm not going to spoil the party. Geelong by about 15.
Like that, one each way. Let's get it underway. The Cats and the Dogs, Saturday night footy. Here's Jess Webster.
Club debutant John Segler into the ruck for the Cats, but the tap's won by English. Straight down to McRae, kicks towards half forward, spoiled away by Stewart, who's back in the side this week. Cam Guthrie roves, gives it to Buse, hand passes to Stewart. He's tackled immediately by West inside the centre square to force a stoppage 65 metres out from the Bulldogs' goal, kicking towards the construction end of the ground. From the ball up, Selwood has a go, can't go with it. Bailey Williams picks it up in his 100th game, gives it to Bontempelli, skies the ball towards half forward. Johannesson sitting underneath it. McRae picks it up, gives it to Liberatore, and then off to Dale, who kicks towards half forward.
Flaring kick out in front. Garcia, who collected well, turned around to Koning, kicks inside the 50. Ugle Hagen up in the pack, juggles it and pulls it in 40 metres out. He has picked up where he left off last week.
It was a lovely little effort there by, who was that out here? It was Garcia out here. He had two Geelong players closing in on him. I think both of them thought they were going to lay the tackle. He wedged in between the two of them in a lovely pass.
So Jamara Ugle-Hagen, he kicked the winner last week. He kicks the first of the night here at Cardinia Park. And Dogs fans would love to see that. 5 last week in a breakout performance. And the number 1 pick of a couple of years ago has got the start here. 1 straight 6, the Dogs. The Cats yet to score through a minute and a half.
That's a great start there. I mentioned before the game it was great to watch him kick 5 last week, and perhaps some of the criticism of him early in his career has been his inconsistency, Berkey. So it's great to see him off the back of last week start hot tonight.
Especially, he won the Rising Star last week, and what people don't realise is the amount of media that you have to do after Rising Star. Every day he's been out doing 2 or 3, and the club are a little bit concerned. So for him to actually get on the scoreboard this early, that's just going to really sort of settle him down, and fantastic that he actually put it through. That was the most impressive thing about him last week, was he put those 2 through in the last quarter.
Oh, from the middle, Segler bursts out of the centre, delivers towards full forward, fisted away from Gary Rowan. Liberatore attacks the footy, can't go with it. Cam Guthrie in the bottom of the pack, scrapping for it. Liberatore in there as well. Ball spits out to English. He evades one would-be tackler. Hand passes backwards to Karmas, who kicks out to the wing, and it's dropped by Colin Jasny. Allowed Ugle-Hagen to come in. Gives it to Bontempelli. Now to Liberatore, to Bruce inside the centre square. Hand passes over the top to Bontempelli. His kick towards half forward. Hits Norton on the chest, 55 from home. Wants to wheel around and go. Spears a pass into the pocket. Johannesson on the lead.
It's good that Josh Bruce got up the ground right into that centre circle there, got his hands on the ball early. He hasn't had a lot of it in his comeback from that knee injury, but to get a touch early and get a handball off, that's going to do his confidence a little bit good.
Johannesson's marked 40 metres out in the left forward pocket. And this for a dream start for the Bulldogs, who haven't won at this venue since 2003. Johannesson has slotted it. The Dogs have 2 on the board. They lead 2 straight to the Cats yet to score after 3.5 minutes in the opening term. Your experts are Karen Peterson and Nathan Burke.
That was a very, very good finish there, and one way to spoil the party early for the Cats fans that have rolled in tonight. What was so impressive was, as you mentioned, Berkey, just through the middle, Josh Bruce coming up and presenting, allowed so much space behind him, and I can't remember who the midfielder was that kicked it into Johannesson, but he probably had 3 or 4 lining up ready to roll. So very, very good start for the Dogs.
Yeah, they're one of the signs that you see when a team are on is when players are running in support. And a couple of times there, the handballs were a bit loopy. Players had to stop and get them, but they always had players running in support, and they had that free play to get the ball inside 50. So great sign for the doggies.
I feel like the way for the Dogs to win tonight was going to be to overwhelm the Cats in the middle. They're certainly doing that here as Bontempelli goes off the ground, sockers it inside the 50, and Tom Stewart upon return for Geelong. Maybe their most important player, intercepts across halfback. He flares his kick out wide. Holmes was able to bring it down. Handball through the traffic to Atkins. So influential in the last quarter last week. Now off to Duncan. Spears the pass inside the forward 50. And it's easy pickings back there for Hannon, who loops it over the top to the run of Richards. He's held up by Dangerfield. On the defensive side of the wing, Dogs with the early start. They've got the first two through 5 minutes.
Richards kicks backwards to Cordy, who switches to the opposite pocket and finds Gardner. Still inside defensive 50, the Dogs. Gardner called to play on. Kicks up towards the wing, and it's a good one, and finds Karmas on the lead. He's marked defensive side of the wing, so the Bulldogs aren't advancing further and just sharing possession in the back half as Karmas kicks short to Cordy, and he wants to switch play to the other side. Oh, it's dropped at the feet of Garcia. It's to go in with a second effort. It's tackled by Stengel, who rips it from him. Ball spills out to English. He's dispossessed. Spills out the back to Richards, who hands it to Smith, who gives it to Garcia. He chips it towards the wing. Waitman marks.
Right on the AFL logo in front of Duncan. Cody Waitman in the long sleeves, the fluoro boots. He swings the kick into the centre of the ground. Finds Dale, the All-Australian from last year. Gets inside, turns around Rowan, kicks inside the 50. Liberatore couldn't take the mark. Williams met Hughes solidly, tried to shake the tackle. Umpire said going nowhere. A ball up on the edge of the 50.
Possessions are 30-6 in favour of the Bulldogs.
Dominated possession and field position early. Wonderful work from Bontempelli at the stoppage. Tapped it over his head. Williams spikes it inside the forward 50. Not collected by Johannisen, and it'll be tossed back in. Right forward pocket, deep in attack for the Bulldogs. They kick to the City end in the opening term. They're two straight. The Cats yet to score through 6.5 minutes.
Ball back into play. Norton against Segler. Bontempelli rows. Hand passes to Dunkley from 40 metres out. 10 metres in from the boundary. Kicks towards the top of the square. Stewart sees it over the line for a minor. So all the attacking going the way of the Dogs. 2-1-13. Geelong yet to score through 6.5 minutes of the opening term.
Let's go downstairs. Dan Miles on the boundary.
Joel, you can tell all the crowd's here for one man when Joel Selwood even gets a smattering of applause when he comes off for his first spell on the Pine. He was replaced by none other than Patrick Dangerfield. So some pretty handy cattle going into the midfield for the Cats.
Absolutely. It's not a bad little 1-2 punch. They've got a couple of them of Geelong. Free kick on the outer side here to McRae. He made Dunkley work. He took the slips catch, diving away to his left. Did Josh Dunkley out at right half forward for the Dogs. His contract situation, one interesting part of the layers of the Dogs season, and he just flares that one out of bounds on the full. It was a strange kick in the end out in front of Bruce, so couldn't reel it in at the junction of the 50 and the boundary. So Henry takes it for the Cats to Kolajasny, across the defensive 50 to Stewart. He's got it in the right back pocket now for Geelong.
Has De Koning short, just chips it into his path. He marks on the defensive 50 arc. It's a short chip inboard to Smith. Not a lot of movement up ahead of him. Just takes off and kicks into the corridor or over the head of Blitzarves, and Karmas takes the mark in the centre square for the Dogs. Flares it out wide to McRae. He's got some space on the outer wing. Forced to hold it up though. As Waitman short, elects to kick a little bit further. And has Gardner on the outer side. Hand passes to Waitman. His chip inside forward 50. Lands into the lap of Liberatore.
Lib's been trotting around 45 to 50 metres out for the last 4 minutes all by himself. No one has gone near him. Not surprised he's ended up with the ball.
So 50 metres out at right half forward, Liberatore pitches it to the top of the square. Norton has a fly. It falls to Cameron. Hand passes to O'Connor, who gives it to Stewart, and he chips short to Buse.
Stewart kicking it at 85% this season. Such a wonderful user of the footy. Sets up so much out of defence for Geelong. 4 and zip without him, but they'll relish having him back in their side. De Koning got it from Buse, now to Dangerfield in the left back pocket. Quiet last week against the Power was Paddy Dangerfield. He whacks this one out to the wing. Holmes had good position on Liberatore, but it's off hands out of play. Centre of the Hickey stand, beneath the premiership flags of 2007, 2009 and 2011, which are flying proudly tonight. This milestone game for the Cats and their captain, Joel Selwood. Ball's tossed back in. Blitzarves wins it down. Into the mess it goes. Holmes scraps a kick forward. Dale takes it for the Dog on the back end of the square. Now out wide to Dunkley. Corralled by Atkins. Got his kick around the corner up the outer side wing. Running under it was Hannon. Spilled away to Holmes. His kick scrappy. Back to Dale. He can set up an attacking move for the Dogs and finds English.
English is off and running. Hand passes out wide to Waitman at right half forward. Goes one way, then the other. Hand passes inboard to Dale, who scoots away from Blitzarves, crosses the 50 to the square. And sending it over the line for a rush behind is DeConey. So Bulldogs move to 2-2-14. Geelong still yet to score 10 minutes into the opening term here at the Cattery.
It's absolutely not the way I expected this game to go. It's very stagnant ball movement, and the Bulldogs doing a great job setting up behind the play, not allowing Geelong that free-flowing game that they want.
Joel Selwood can't get back on the ground. He's stalking the boundary line, waiting for somebody to come off. The ball's trapped on the far side of the ground. Can't get anyone off.
Carlton AFLW captain Kieran Peterson and Australian Football Hall of Famer Nathan Burke with you on Grandstand AFL. Isaac Smith takes it off halfback, spirals it to half forward for the Cats. Cameron trying to control it down toward Holmes, who's been busy. Rowan now, handball to Stengel out at high half forward. He kicks inside the forward 50. Cameron floating across the pack, tried to knock it on. Couldn't find Hawkins on the end of it. Inside the 50 for the Dogs. Myers lays the tackle. Might be rewarded. No. Matthew Nichols crosses the arms and will have a ball up. This is maybe the best chance the Cats have had. They can lock it in here.
Bulldogs by 14. Geelong still searching for their first score of the game. Bontempelli rose and exits the danger zone with a long kick to the wing. Bounces past Norton. In comes Zach Guthrie. He's tackled by Waitman. DeConey. His hand pass into the path of Blitzarves, who gives it to Atkins, and then he misses the target in Cam Guthrie, who's stripped of it and tackled by Daniel. And the umpire circles, and eventually says, give it to me. Ball up, 60 metres out from the Cats' goal at centre-half forward.
Bontempelli's becoming a problem. He's had 6 disposals and 3 clearances already. Geelong's going to need to tighten up around the stoppage if they want to impact.
Up it goes at half forward for the Cats. Liberatore with the clearance, as he so often is. Bruce, handball away to Waitman. Sharp bit of work, but the kick missed Johannesson, who slipped over at the critical moment. Stewart directs his kick out wide to Holmes, who's marked on the AFL logo out on the Hickey stand side. Thumps it inside the 50 on the right boot. Flying over the pack is Gardner. Massive fist. Bashes it away. Atkins too high with the tackle. That was clear. And a free kick to the Dogs at right half back at the Adelaide Oval. The Crows with the first of the game against the Blues. 6 plays, none there.
Well, Garcia kicks backwards inside defensive 50. It bounces in front of Gardner, who's unsure where to go. Corralled by Cameron, and then finds Dale with a short chip pass in the right back pocket.
Joel Selwood still on the bench. They've just got to drag somebody off. Nearest play to the bench, get off and get him on the field.
Dale switches play to Richards, who kicks to Hannon at left half back, and then has to hand pass under pressure back to Richards. Gets around Rowan and then kicks short to Williams, who's marked just inside of the boundary defensive side of the wing.
Scoots away, kicks down the line. Duncan got a hand to it, found its way to Johannesson though. Now Isaac Smith intercepts for the Cats. Shares the hand pass with Duncan, gets it back, hemmed in on the boundary. Hooks it around the wing on the head of Hawkins. Slaps it down toward Rowan. Taken by Williams of the Dog. Rowan dives on his back. Now they'll get a chance to bring the skipper on. And Selwood makes his return in the place of Isaac Smith. Cats fans will be happy. Nathan Burke's happy with that.
10 minutes on the bench. Ridiculous.
Up they go. Broadcast side centre wing. Dogs by 14 points with the first 2 of the game. Cats yet to score through 13 and a half minutes as Bailey Smith blasts that one out of bounds on the full in front of the interchange gates. Duncan will bring it back into play for Geelong.
Oh, kick short, looking for Selwood. It falls at his feet, and then now they've turned it over. Smith runs away for the Dogs, kicks into a vacant forward 50, looking for Norton. DeConing with the double fist. Ball still in play. Norton close to the boundary line, has to get around Henry. Just got boot to ball in time. It wobbles into the corridor. Dunkley, was he caught high? In fact, it was McComb. And they've coughed it up to Buser, to Koning, to Duncan, and his hand pass to Zach Guthrie, sold him into a bit of trouble, tackled by West, brought to ground, stoppage 40 metres out from the Dogs' goal.
What do you think of the tackle, Berkey?
Oh, I thought that was over the shoulder, absolutely. Just reached out, it wasn't around the head, it was just on top of the shoulder. Should have been a free kick.
The old-fashioned horse collar.
That umpire's not a flash, but that's all right.
Zegler wins it down. Selwood, I'm sure he thinks highly of you, blasted out of bounds on the ball. I'll be brought back into play. Left half forward, Caleb Daniel to take the footy. One of the inclusions for the Dogs alongside Zane Cordy. Kicks in board straight over the head of Hayden Gavin, the umpire. Bailey Dale's got it 60 from home for the Dogs. He's going to load up to the pocket. Who's he got flying for him? Waitman from the back. Bontempelli stayed down in front. Segler's there at fullback for Geelong. He goes to ground. They dive on top of him and a ball up. Dogs 2-2. Cats yet to score. 15 minutes played opening term here at Kinnear Park on Grandstand AFL.
Segler and English do battle in the ruck, and the umpire's plucked out a free kick, this time for a hard tackle going the Bulldogs' way. What do you think of that, Berkey? Free kick going English.
You just love it because no one knows who is going. They blow their whistle and then you just wait for which way the arm pops out. And both rucks going, it's mine. But this time it was Tim English.
I like the Saturday night lotto draw. We've got our government supervisors here, Berkey. The supplementary numbers are coming soon.
Weren't they a happy bunch, those Tats Lotto supervisors?
So 20 disposals and 2 goals last week against Melbourne is Tim English from 30 metres out, slide angle to the left. And the Dogs are on fire early. They've got 3 on the bounce. 3-2-20 lead Geelong yet to score. Nearly 16 minutes played in this opening term. Karen Peterson and Nathan Burke.
Well, I reckon you could probably count yourself unlucky, the Geelong ruckman in that contest there. As we've mentioned, it was a bit of a lotto, but unfortunately for the Cats, they just can't get their hands on the pill and be able to control possession. It's in favour of the Dogs at the moment, 69-42, and going at not a bad clip as well. As we've mentioned, Bontempelli's starting to get on top around the middle. He's got 7 disposals. He's still got the 3 clearances and he's having a bit of an impact. I actually thought, Berkey, that it might have been Blitzarves that had a bit of a run with role, but doesn't seem to have played out that way at the moment. I don't know what you'd be doing there, but I reckon I'd be tightening up pretty much on Bontempelli at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Tim English has come off now. So Josh Bruce has gone into the ruck against Segler. So here's the opportunity for the Cats to get a couple of clearances.
Oh, and Segler just bulldozes him over. Won it straight down to Dangerfield, who slipped over. McRae forces it forward for the Dogs. To Smith, to Dunkley. Whacks it inside the 50 to Waitman. This is brutal from the Dogs. And Cody Waitman's got a chance. He'll have to kick it every bit of 50.
Clearances 10-3 in favour of the Bulldogs. Tackles 10-7 in favour of the Bulldogs. And contested possessions 22-11 in favour of the Bulldogs. They're smashing them all over the ground at the minute.
So Cody Waitman now with the chance. Kicked 2 last week from right on the 50. It won't have the carry. Segler tries to kill the contest. It spills into the forward pocket. Segler goes again. Needs to get the handball away. O'Connor drives his head into the tackle of Ugle-Hagan. Zach Guthrie keeps it alive. Dogs through Macomb. Now Bontempelli tries to get the handball away. Spills to the top of the goal square. Selwood comes up with it for the Cats to Zach Guthrie. He's closed down. Got his kick away. Daniel almost cut it off. Close-fisted it away. Now Karmas. Handball to McRae. Top of the 50 for the Dogs. Wheels around. Spears it in. Great vision. Waitman's got it again.
That was terrible checking by the Geelong defenders. I've just counted. That's 17 players inside their D50. And they were still able to wheel around and pinpoint Waitman, who just had absolutely no one anywhere near him. And directly in front, 30 out from goal, I think the Geelong defenders are going to have to turn around, scratch their heads and work out what they're doing.
So Cody Waitman with another set shot. He kicked his last from the 50. That's where he starts his run up from this time. He is directly in front. Take 2 for Cody Waitman. He's not missing that. And the Dogs haven't missed the Cats in the early stages here. They are landing blow after blow. And it is a 26-point lead. The Dogs 4-2. The Cats yet to score. 19 minutes played. Opening term. Grandstand AFL. Your experts are Nathan Burke and Karen Peterson.
Well, Kes, if Luke Beveridge could sit at home last night with a whiteboard and just sort of draw things up exactly how I would love this game to be played. We'd dominate possessions, we'd dominate contested possessions, we'd dominate clearances, and that's what I would love. That would be his fairy godmother wish. It's come true. They are playing the best football that they've played all season, and the Cats, probably the thing that the Cats can't do is they can't get through the defensive structures. The crowd are trying to lift their players, but if they don't, this game's going to get away from them very quickly.
And the Dogs win it out of the middle again. Here's Bailey Smith. Sends it high into the half-forward area. Bounces in front of West over the line for a boundary throw-in. 60 metres around from the Dogs' goal. Let's get downstairs to Daniel.
Just there might be a little bit of moisture out on the field. One of the early changes that we've seen here on the interchange bench is a change of boots. Paddy Dangerfield not very happy, slipping over and decided it's probably down to the footwear. So there's a couple of players changing their boots over, looking for the longer studs.
Ball tossed back in at half forward for the Dogs. Can the Cats get the clearance here? Cam Guthrie chases after it out toward the boundary line. The flowing locks of he and Smith pursuing the football. Dangerfield's in the contest now. Got it away to close. Now to Cam Guthrie, who sends it forward, and Hawkins has got his first touch. Out at 70 metres out from goal. Rolls around and sends it towards Smith. Williams over the top, two-fist, knocks it down. Karmas is there for the Dogs in defence. Pinched by Guthrie. Handball to Smith. Handball to close. For the Cats first, no. It's their first score. Not a major one, though. One behind Geelong. The Dogs 4-2-26. We've played 21 minutes in the opening term, and they have really flown the gates here, the Western Bulldogs.
The Cats have put 3 of their premiership flags on top of the Hickey stand, and all of them are blowing quite strongly down to the end the Cats are going.
Oh, Daniels mucked it up in front of inside defensive 50. A chance for Rowan, who hand passes to Holmes, scoots away from Richards. Hand passes out wide to Dangerfield, wants to get on his right. And umpires found a free kick. It's going to Dangerfield. So an error in defence from Caleb Daniel just sold himself into a bit of trouble, and now it's a shot on goal to Geelong, going the way of Dangerfield, who just copped one high by Bontempelli.
Now, I don't know about you, Berkey. I've been paying attention to the media this week, but I'll get you to comment on it. Was he already falling to the ground when the high contact came?
I've got no idea, Kez. Sorry, Kez. It's far beyond my pay grade to figure out what's going on with high tackles.
So Dangerfield from 40 metres out in front. The Cats need someone to stand up. And Dangerfield delivers. Cats are on the board. The Bulldogs lead 4-2-26 to Geelong 1-1-7. 22 played in the opening term. Karen Peterson and Nathan Burke, your experts on Grandstand AFL.
Well, it'd be far from the way that the Cats would have drawn up their first goal for tonight, I think, off a mistake from Caleb Daniel, which is just unfortunately a skill error. But I do just want to go back to the possession before, because I want to give a shout out to one of the defenders. Bailey Williams did a terrific job. He came off his opponent and went third man up. It was Isaac Smith versus Caleb Daniel in the forward 50, and a really great, courageous decision by Williams to come over and offer some assistance. So I will give a shout out to the defenders, and the Cats have got a lucky one there. They'll take it. Hopefully it's a bit of a steadier for them, and then it's game on.
The Adelaide Oval Blues have got a couple in a row, 2 straight, leading the Crows 1-1. The Dogs with their first here. It's taken 22 minutes from the restart. Like Segler was still inside the circle then when he knocked that down, but the umpires are going to do it all again. Andrew Stevens, Hayden Gavin, Matt Nichols, our umpires this evening here at Kidinia Park. Segler first hands to it at the secondary ball up. Dangerfield hacks it out of the area. Holmes got a handball on it. Now to Selwood. The cheer goes up around the stadium. Kicks inside the 50. Cameron contorting his body in midair. Couldn't pull in the mark. And it's thumped out of play for a throw-in. Right forward pocket. 23 minutes gone opening term. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster with you on Grandstand AFL. Nathan Burke and Karen Peterson, your experts. Dan Miles on the boundary. The Dogs by 19 points.
All back into play. Hawkins into the ruck against English. Hawkins goes and follows up his work. Stripped of it though. Smith has a go. Oh, Dale was caught high. The advantage is paid as he kicks down to the wing. Coming across Dangerfield, got a hand in there. Ugle-Hagan is tackled by Selwood and shrugs him off. And then the hand pass is picked off by Colin Jasny. Dangerfield to Zach Guthrie from close against the boundary line. Just thumps it inside forward 50. Ball at ground level. Cordy collects for the Dogs. Hand passes to Williams, who kicks down the line. Ugle-Hagelin in front. It's fisted away by Segler. And umpire's found a free kick. It's high, advantage paid to Dangerfield at centre-half forward. Pokes it into the pocket. Hawkins can't mark. Karmas at ground level for the Dogs.
Might be able to work it out. They've turned it over here. Have the Dogs kick inside the forward. Fitz is sprawling out. Has Bailey Williams taken that mark? Yes. Only just centimetres off the turf as he dived back toward his defensive goal to take the mark. And then he sent it outside the defensive 50. Close got a hand to it. McComb there for the Dogs. Now Smith at half-back. Looping handball out wide. Connects with West, who sends it forward to Waitman. And Bruce is out the back if you can spot him. Waitman's got it 55 out. Bruce leads to the pocket. Ugle-Hagen's on as well. He takes the first option, and it was the best option. Bruce has got it. Right forward pocket. 25 out. Josh Bruce can go back and have a set shot.
It's a really smart kick there by Waitman because he also had Ugle-Hagen in the corridor. His first shape was to kick it to Ugle-Hagen, and defenders, where they are, they read the cues. They all ran to Ugle-Hagen, and that allowed him to just adjust at the last second and kick to Bruce.
Had a tough time of it upon return, Josh Bruce. Just 5 disposals in 2 weeks. Hasn't scored. Set shot here. Left foot on the way. And he's pulled it to minus score to the near side. 4-3-27 the Dogs. 20-point lead over the Cats. 1-1-7. 25 and a half minutes gone on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Duncan advances 10 metres and then whacks it down the corridor. Richards got fingertips to it. Couldn't come down with a mark. Smith roves for Geelong. Hacks it towards half forward. Bounces in front of Hawkins in a one-on-one against Cordy. Ball spills out the back to Daniel, who hand passes to Gardner in the right back pocket. Sends it out wide, although picking it off is Dangerfield, who's marked at left half forward. Turns around, kicks it towards Hawkins on the lead, 45 out.
Really smart play by Dangerfield. If he had gone back over his mark, that lead to Hawkins would have been gobbled up and the option wouldn't have been there. They would have been forced to go back and through the numbers. Instead, he wheeled onto his left and had Hawkins coming out at him, shoulders out. Very, very good kick.
Cordy did really well the first time the ball went inside 50. It was a one-on-one with Hawkins. He kept Hawkins out of it. The ball went out, but then he just lost touch. He just spectated the ball going out, and Tommy Hawkins will always keep his head in the game.
Tough kick, 45 out, close to the boundary. He sends it towards goal. It's going to miss to the near side for a minor. Bulldogs 4-3-27, Geelong 1-2-8 through 27 minutes of the opening term here on Grandstand AFL.
Atkins, Blitzarves, O'Connor and Jeremy Cameron yet to have a kick. We've got a couple of handballs, but no kicks between that 4.
Think about how Atkins played in that last quarter last week. He was so brilliant, willing them over the line. He played the Joel Selwood role. He's had no influence early. Daniel marked the kick in and then swung his kick out wide. A whipping ball out toward Cordy on the boundary line at left half back. The Dogs with the first 4. The Cats with a couple of recent opportunities to close the gap. It's at 19 the margin at the moment, the way of the red, blue and white. Dunkley took it off the pack on the wing broadcast side. Handball to Smith around the body. Bailey Smith gave it to West, who kicks a high footy up the wing. De Koning brought it down, and then he was brought down. Garcia and Norton, a couple of West Australians in on the tackle to drag him across the boundary line. It'll be tossed back into play right in front of Daniel Miles for us on Grandstand AFL.
Joel, if the other Joel Selwood, ever forgets at his 350th game today, he only has to look down to his feet. A nice little touch, a gold 350 on each of his footy boots.
Oh, Dangerfield just bounces off Dunkley and then kicks a high one towards half forward. It's off hands. Daniel at the fall of the ball. Hand passes to Gardner at centre half back for the Dogs. Sends a long ball to the wing. Bruce. He presented but couldn't mark. Henry out the back. Oh, he's run into trouble. Just got the hand pass away to McComb. Close to the boundary line. Hand passes to Bruce, who ducks into a tackle. Hand passes backwards to Dale from the logo on centre wing. Chip short to McRae. As the quarter-time siren sounds here at Cardinia Park, the first quarter belonged to the Western Bulldogs. 4-3-27. lead Geelong 1-8. Your goal kickers for the Dogs. All singles, Ugle-Hagan, Waitman, Johannesson and English. And the single goal kicker for Geelong is Patrick Dangerfield.
A blistering Bulldogs start. They've certainly caught the Cats on the hop in the opening term. The first 4 of the game to the Dogs, including one to Jamari Ugle-Hagan, who started so brightly after a brilliant performance last week. And at a venue that they haven't won at since 2003 against a side that's won 15 of the past 17 games between the two, the Dogs are dominating in the opening stages. The Dogs 4-3-27, the Cats 1-8. Very interesting game to start us off here at Kardinia Park on Saturday night footy. It's all unfolding on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
ABC, your trusted source of accurate and timely emergency information.
We've had the ABC on basically all afternoon listening.
There's so much going on. Getting news is a priority.
Well, I'm a fan of the ABC.
It must be love, love, love.
I listen to the ABC every day. I'm extremely grateful.
ABC Radio, reliable source for information.
On radio, on the ABC Listen app and the ABC Emergency website.
It must be love, love, love.
ABC, stay connected.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Clear and kick out in front. Garcia, who collected well, turned around to Koning, kicks inside the 50. Ugle-Hagan up in the pack, juggles it. So Jamari Ugle-Hagan, he kicks the winner last week. He kicks the first of the night here at Kardinia Park.
Bontempelli, his kick towards half forward, hits Norton on the chest, 55 from home. Wants to wheel around and go. Spears a pass into the pocket. Johannesson on the lead. Missed for a dream start for the Bulldogs, who haven't won at this venue since 2003. Johannesson has slotted it.
Now Karmas, handball to McRae, top of the 50 for the Dogs. Wheels around, spears it in. Great vision. Waitman's got it again. He is directly in front. Take 2 for Cody Waitman. He's not missing that. And the Dogs haven't missed the Cats in the early stages here. They are landing blow after blow, and it is a 26-point lead.
Umpires found a free kick. It's going to Dangerfield. Dangerfield from 40 metres out in front. The Cats need someone to stand up, and Dangerfield delivers.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Sounds of the opening term on Grandstand AFL. Dogs with the first 4. They bounced out to a 26-point break after the Cody Waitman goal, a late one to Patrick Dangerfield. They had a couple of opportunities, the Cats, to claw the margin back. It stands at 19 at the end of one. 4-3-27, the Dogs. The Cats 1-2-8. Geelong's lowest scoring opening term of the season. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster calling it for you on Grandstand AFL. Daniel Miles is with us on the boundary this evening. Karen Peterson and Nathan Burke are your experts. The other game tonight is at the Adelaide Oval. Carlton taking on the Crows. The Crows kick the first of the game. The Blues with the next 3 of the match to lead by 9 points, closing in on quarter time. Charlie Curnow, the Coleman medal leader, has got a couple for the Blues. Matt Owies has the other. Tex Walker with the lone goal for the Crows. Earlier today in the AFL, Collingwood, deja vu, they win by under a goal again. The Pies 88 defeating Port 82. Sydney smashed the Giants by 73. And the Saints by 12 over the Hawks. We'll have a Commonwealth Games update for you at halftime with Ned Hall. Plenty happening in Birmingham as well. Tonight, supercars. The Tour de France women's race continues on. The F1. There is plenty of sport happening right around the world. But all eyes are on Kardinia Park tonight for Cats fans. And Nathan Burke and Karen Peterson in that opening term, it wasn't particularly happy viewing.
Certainly wasn't if you're a Cat supporter coming along looking for Joel Selwood's 350th and thinking the team are going to rise up for him and they're just going to blow this Western Bulldogs team away.
And as Daniel Miles described him in the opening term, I think correctly, Berkey, as the other Joel.
The other Joel, yes, absolutely.
The only person who said that Joel in the building tonight, that's for sure.
The Dogs are on. And you can tell when a team is on, because I mentioned it during the call, that their run to support their teammates who get in trouble is outstanding. Their run to get to the outside players of the Cats. So they're really reading the cues, going, Cats going to win it. They might go to that player, so I'm pushing over and I'm getting on that player. So the Cats have never been under this pressure for the whole season. The Dogs attack, or their switch from, hey, we've got the ball, we're attacking, to, oh, we've lost the ball, now let's go pick up the Cats, is outstanding. It just means that the Cats cannot get the ball from one end to the other really cleanly at all. So all those little signs that show me a team is on, the Cats have nailed those. The Bulldogs have nailed those so far this game, Kez.
I'm a little bit in shock, like probably the 25,000 people that are here, because this is not what I expected or prepared for this game. I expected this one to be a really tight, contested, high-pressure game, particularly, through the middle of the ground with the quality midfields that both of these teams have. So it's been far from that. The Cats have just allowed the Bulldogs, particularly the midfielders, just way too much time and space without any pressure whatsoever. I mentioned Bontempelli a couple of times through that first quarter. He's just got too much space at the moment, and along with Waitman, who's just creating havoc up forward for them. So Geelong's a quality team. I expect them to react and respond really, really strongly in their second quarter.
One of the interesting things at selection for the Dogs, they dropped Alex Keith. We wondered who would take the Cameron Hawkins matchup. So far, Kez, it hasn't been too much of a problem because they haven't had the footy in there.
Well, I've had it here written down, ready to talk about it, but we haven't needed to. So, look, Zane Cordy's going with Hawkins and Ryan Gardner's going with Cameron. So hopefully we can maybe get a bit of a look at this matchup in this second quarter.
And Blitzarves looks like he's going with Bontempelli now.
Hey, listen, Berkey.
Blitzarves hasn't had a kick.
So taken him 28 minutes.
Do something.
Get him into the game. The marauding Mark Blitzarves going through the middle. The Cats with the opening clearance of the second quarter. Selwood gave it to Cam Guthrie. Tumbled a kick forward. Stengel was up to meet it. Couldn't take it cleanly. It ricocheted around and he ended up with it though. Handball to Smith. Loops it over the top by hand to Close. Goes into the pocket. Hawkins on the end of it straight away. We knew they'd respond. It's instant in the second term for the Cats. Tom Hawkins has got it tight inside the boundary line, maybe 5 in from the paint in the right forward pocket. He's 35 out.
Kez, if you were playing on Tom Hawkins, you wouldn't bother sagging off to intercept at all, would you? You'd be right on his backside.
Well, for goal number 50 of the season, he hits the fat side of the footy. It floats across the face. McComb's there for the Dogs. Now Dunkley. Handball to Daniel. Now to Dale. All the D's in defence for the Dogs. Dale kicks outside the defensive 50. Turns it over to Dangerfield.
Oh. The Cats have turned it over. It was an ugly kick off the boot, but they haven't turned it over, in fact, because Duncan's taken the mark. Wasn't the prettiest piece of play, but Duncan's got it centre half forward, 50 out. It's very congested forward 50. Duncan from the square just hits it to a dangerous position. Coming out, Rowan standing in front. Gardner takes a great contested mark for the Dogs. He's a bit slow to get up.
They can be nasty, those ones. His legs were sort of taken out in front of him and landed on his butt.
He's kicked it out wide to Dale inside defensive 50. Just gets the kick away down the line and taking the chest mark is Ugle-Hagan.
So Ugle-Hagan's got it for the Dogs. The opener after 5 last week. Left foot kick around the wing. Waitman comes in from the back. Henry in front. Rose, not paid the mark. Comes up at the ground level. Waitman dives on him. Shoots out the back toward Isaac Smith. Clever off the ground. Kolodjasny gave it to Cam Guthrie, who surely was over the line. Kept it in. Tumbled it down the wing. Dale races across to take it. He slides across the chalk. It'll be tossed back in.
There are some strange things going on here. I don't know if I'm watching under-12s or AFL football. I've got Tom Stewart running down the wing wanting a possession inside the forward 50. It's just a bit strange at the moment.
Ball tossed back into play, broadcast side. Dogs by 19 points as it was at quarter time, 2 minutes into the second term. Dunkley chases after it. Close is there. He's closed down by Dunkley. They run into each other in the centre of the ground. We'll have a ball up.
So Dogs by 19 early in this second term. Ball up inside the centre square. Segler rips it from the ruck. His kick partially smothered by McComb. In goes Smith. Hand passes to Liberatore. Just gets boot to ball and wobbles it inside forward 50. West down in front. Was he paid the mark? It was paid a high tackle. So he gets the free kick 50 metres out directly in front.
Around the stoppage at the moment, it just looks like no one's willing to take control and take charge. It's a little bit hot potato here. You do it. No, you do it. It's just very messy and untidy at the moment.
I don't think he thinks he's got the distance in him. He's looking for somebody to...
Tom Stewart stands the mark, 50 out. So West from 55 pitches it to the top of the square. It's off hands. Spills to English, who tried to fend off Selwood and got tackled by Stewart. Free kick to Geelong.
Yeah, big fellas got to know their limitations. You can't be zigzagging in or around. You're going to get caught.
Tim English, who can do most things. Even that was a bridge too far for he. Duncan's got it inside the defensive 50 for the Cats. Kicks out wide. O'Connor came up at it, but Williams was equal to the task. Waitman slides across and takes it out for a throw-in. On the outer side of the ground, on the broadcast side of the ground for us is Daniel Miles.
Joel, I'm boundary riding, but I'm also being the national footwear correspondent because Patrick Dangerfield casting a bit of a despondent figure on the bench here. He's put on a third set of boots, so clearly not happy with something out there on the turf.
Either that or he's got a very good sponsorship arrangement, Dan. He's got more boots than...
Good tradesman that never blames his tools, Joel.
Yes, that's very true. Oh, Cameron collected the handball and then ran straight into the tackle. It spills to Norton through the 50. Left foot kick. Goal at his mercy. Misses. Left-hand side. First score of the second turns a minor one to the Dogs. They lead by 20 through 4 minutes on Grandstand AFL.
The Cats just really making some sloppy decisions as well coming out of their defence, which is normally their strong suit, something that they do really well.
So Buse with the kick in, runs 10 metres and then hacks it down the wing. It bounces in front of Segler, picked up by English, who gives it to Liberatore and flares a kick out wide to Smith. From left half forward, wheels around, kicks into the corridor. Ugle-Hagan rises, couldn't complete the mark. Waitman at the bottom of the pack. He's dived on it, players dive on top of him. Umpire circles, and calls play on. The ball eventually spits out. Ugle-Hagan lays a tackle. The ball squeezes out the back to Dale from left half forward. His kick misses West and bounces over the line for a boundary throw-in. 30 metres around from the Dogs' goal. They lead by 20 points through 5 minutes of the second term.
I'm with you, Kez. It's a bit like the under-13s between Colburn Abbott and Mount Pleasant, isn't it? It's not real pretty at the moment. A Tooleen Recreation Reserve or something. Ball tossed back in. Segler got rid of Norton, who went sprawling forward. Locked up in a stoppage again inside the forward 50.
I haven't seen the supporters get out of their seats once yet, which is very rare for down here. So very, very flat game of football thus far.
It's chilly. The blankets would fall off the knees.
Matthew Nichols tosses it up. Lawton slaps it out. Bontempelli goes at Selwood. Skipper on skipper. It spills away to Hannon. Throws it on the left boot to full forward. Kolodjasny knocks it away from Ugle-Hagan. Stewart at fullback for the Cats. Handball to Duncan. Closing was Johannesson. Duncan got his kick away out to the outer side wing. Rowan a hand to it. Spills to Dunkley for the Dogs. To Karmas, to Smith. Bailey Smith steps inside. Shoots the kick inside the 50 to Ugle-Hagan, who stretches and plucks it out of the night sky. He's 35 metres out on a 45-degree angle left of centre.
That set up outside 50 for the Western Bulldogs is just completely bamboozling Geelong. They're coming out, they're under the pump, they're just bombing the ball as far as they can, and it's just coming straight back in. It was a matter of time before they got a good shot at goal.
Kick the first of the game to Jamara on the approach from 40 metres out, strikes it nicely, sneaks it through. The Rising Star nominees form continues. And it's a 26-point lead to the Dogs again, an equal game high. 5-4-34 plays the Cats 1-2-8. 7 minutes gone, second term Grandstand AFL.
Well, Ugle-Hagan's been able to do something that no one else in this game has been able to do thus far, and that's to be able to kick a goal from that pocket, that open pocket near the scoreboard. So a terrific finish for the left-footer. But to your point before, Berkey, what Geelong is not able to do, particularly, and I'm sort of talking more about the forwards and the half-forwards at the moment, is that there's no connection between the lines. So the midfielders and the defenders seem to be, under the pump all the time in the D50, and the forwards and the half-forwards are leaving too much space, and they're too flat-footed to connect with that next line up the ground and not enabling them to transition out of D50 easily.
So Ugle-Hagan comes to the bench after kicking his second as Dangerfield wins it out of the middle, sends it towards half forward, playing in front court. He couldn't complete the mark and then follows up at ground level, wins the footy but coughs it up. Smith chucks it on the boot, wobbles it inside forward 50. It goes past Hawkins, intelligent tap to Gary Rowan, who runs into an open goal, and Geelong have their second. The crowd starts to find their voice here at Cardinia Park. Western Bulldogs 5-4-34, Geelong 2-2-14. Margin back to 20 points through 8 minutes of the second. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Karen Peterson and Nathan Burke.
I don't know if Zane Cordy was listening to our broadcast at quarter time there, Berkey, but you spoke or you asked the question before, if I was playing on Tom Hawkins, would I be playing behind him and sagging off? what Cordy did then was actually what he should be doing, and that's, playing in front and, trying to put a little bit of pressure on Hawkins coming up the ground. Unfortunately, he just totally misread the ball and the bounce, and it got over the back, allowing Rowan to be able to run into a pretty open goal there. But I actually like that defensive positioning. It's aggressive, and it's a really great spot to be able to play from. You just have to be able to collect the ball when it hits the turf, and unfortunately he wasn't able to do that. Gary Rowan doing what he does best, getting on the move and coming through, kicking a very easy goal.
Three-time All-Australian defender Karen Peterson with you on Grandstand AFL. Side Australian Football Hall of Famer Nathan Burke, your experts at the Adelaide Oval. Quarter time, the Crows 2-4, the Blues 3-1. The Crows with the first and the last of the term. The Blues with the intervening 3 goals. A couple of stoppages in the middle. Bontempelli lies on top of the pack.
I thought the umpire was going to extend the arms, but he kept them crossed over his chest.
English knocks it out in ruck for the Dogs. Dale, handball to McComb, loops the handball over the top to Richards. Did well to gather it falling backward, and then English flipped the handball over his head, back to Richards, tackled by Cameron, who's up the ground. Right on halfway, we're going to have a baller. Been physical stuff. It's reached no great heights in the early stages. It's the Dogs by 20 points, 9.5 gone second term.
Blitzarves wins the tap, coming through Stengel. Couldn't collect the footy. Bontempelli tries to go off the turf. McRae picks it up. Hand passes backwards to McComb, who wheels around and blindly kicks towards half forward. All Cats are there. Zach Guthrie takes the intercept mark at centre half back. Squares it up to De Koning, who kicks back to Zach Guthrie, who's marked at left half back.
Part of the headband club in defence for the Cats. De Koning, Guthrie, Stewart. Blitzarves goes through there. Henry as well. We've all got the long locks back there in defence for the Geelong. It's a recipe that works well for them. Stengel had it at half forward. Kicked down the line through the hands of Holmes, and then Daniel ran out of room on the boundary line. It'll be tossed back into play right in front of our broadcast position. Boundary umpires link up rugby union style there with the underarm sling pass. Or to be tossed back into play. 20-point lead to the Dogs, 10.5 gone, and the boundary umpire's gone down. He needs one of Patrick Dangerfield's 19 pair of boots. As Duncan smashes the handball inside the forward 50. Rowan can't collect it cleanly. Richards can for the Dogs. And now McRae kicks into the centre corridor. Buse stretches, can't mark. O'Connor's there, lays a good tackle on Williams. Garcia scoots away with it for the Western Bulldogs. Handball to himself, then to McRae, ran into trouble, flipped the handball to Daniel. Back out to Garcia at left half back, who can send them down the outer wing.
Oh, big collision between Norton and Liberatore on the wing, and Norton's got the free kick and Liberatore's down. Norton quick to play on. Hand passes to West from left half forward, kick into the pocket. Bruce has to come from behind, slips through his fingers. Henry there in defence for the Cats. Just collects and then finds Stewart with a short kick, who squares it up to Smith at centre half back.
They're off and running here, Geelong. Now Duncan launches an attack forward. Rowan's got it on the wing. Stengel's all alone at left half forward. Has options inside the 50. Calmly puts it into the path of Dangerfield. Over the top to Hawkins. They might have mucked it up. Tom's missed a soda. In the left forward pocket, he turned around. He had absolutely no idea which sticks he was looking at, and put it straight through the middle of one of the big ones and one of the small ones. Not ideal, Tom Hawkins. You've kicked enough. You shouldn't be doing that. The margin's back at 19.
It was almost like he thought that was the goal.
Yep.
That he actually aimed for the behinds there.
So Daniel kicks it into Richards from left half back. Kicks long down the line. Norton rises and takes a nice mark on centre wing. Slightly defensive side of the wing as De Koning stands the mark. Norton kicks further afield, and Bontempelli marks just inside the line.
So
2 kicks from goal.
Sorry, Jess, they're the ones Blitzarves has to stop. It's just a short pass to Bontempelli. If you're going to play on him, don't give him those.
And Bontempelli gets around Stewart on the mark from close to the boundary line, sends it to a dangerous position in the pocket. It's off hands out the back. Rushed through by the Cats defence. Minor score to the Dogs. 5-5-35, lead Geelong 2-3-15 through 13 minutes of the second.
Cats bring it in quickly. Smith at half-back, the loping left footer. Whacks it down the line. Rowan in from the side. Good spoil coming across. Cordy thumps it out of play. Good defensive work as Joel Selwood enters the fray once more.
As much better ball movement by Geelong. They've got a little bit of run and carry and some handball receives in the back line. It's just creating a lot of more flow and run into their game in comparison to the first quarter.
Joel Peterson and Jess Webster calling it for you on Grandstand AFL. Karen Peterson, Nathan Burke, your experts. Dan Miles on the boundary. Saturday night footy here from Cardinia Park. Bulldogs by 20 points, having led by 19 at quarter time at the Adelaide Oval. No change to the quarter time score. Still the Blues by 3. Segler slaps it out of ruck on debut for Geelong, the former Hawk. Playing game number 102 this evening. Rumbles around at the stoppage. Segler comes up with it. Handball to Dangerfield. Closed down by West. Just got the handball away. Daniel quickly to Richards. Turned it over. Atkins for the Cats. To Smith. His handball knocked down. Back to Atkins. Jams it on the boot inside the 50. Karmas is up to meet it. The 229s, Guthrie and Hannon go at it. Forced the handball forward, did Guthrie. Ended up with Karmas. Scraps the kick outside the defensive 50. Buse ran into the umpire, and Bontempelli slipped in and took the mark.
And gave him a mouthful too on the way past.
Is that 50 for an arm raise?
So Bontempelli kicks out to the broadcast wing where West is all alone in space. Has a bounce, has Hannon on his outside and hand passes to him and then kicks inside forward 50. It's not a great one. Standing in the hole is De Koning. English forced to play from behind and stands the mark.
West is a good kick of the footy. He should have kicked the ball to English, not handballing the ball to Hannon. It just allowed the Cats defenders to flood back.
So De Koning kicks it to where it came from. Segler will have a run at it. Got fingers to it. Couldn't come down with a mark. It's Cam Guthrie and McRae tangle, and we've got a stoppage. Centre wing here, where Bulldogs lead by 20 points.
English now in ruck. Segler manhandles him out of the way. McRae had a go at it for the Dogs. McComb has a go at it for the Dogs. Eventually comes up with it. Handball back to Hannon on the AFL logo. Close, dragged him down. Segler stole the handball. Away to Myers. Here go Geelong. Running in waves through half forward. Myers puts into the path of Stengel inside the 50. Cordy left his man at the right time and forced it out of play. Again, a great defensive effort from the premiership defender from the Dogs.
Yeah. Mitch Hannon, time for rest. You're labouring. You've made 2 blues. You're right next to the bench. You've got to just get off and get some rest and recover.
Inside forward 50 for the Cats, who trail by 20. Hawkins taps it over the back. Taken by McRae to Bruce, who hammers it forward for the Bulldogs. All Cats back there. Stewart has the support of Zach Guthrie and De Koning. Goes himself, measures the kick beautifully for Duncan, who gets run down by Bontempelli. Won't get 50. That'll raise some blankets off the knees, Berkey. The Cats fans are up and about at the umpires.
Oh, Duncan is chipped short looking for Henry, but it's spoiled away from him. 50-50 ball on the wing. Liberatore wins it at ground level. Hand passes to Norton, who just tries to chip it in to the path of Garcia. It goes out of bounds on the foot. No, it bounces just inside the line. So it goes over for a ball up. Just forward of the wing. Dogs into attack. They lead by 20 points through 17 minutes of the second.
Still Carlton by 4 points at the Adelaide Oval. Earlier today, St Kilda defeated Hawthorn to move inside the 8 and take the Dogs' spot in the finals mix, at least for now. Cam Guthrie can't keep it in along the boundary line. It'll be tossed back in.
Jeremy Cameron still the 1 handball for the game.
Hasn't had any impact as Cameron. Segler in ruck for the Cats against Bruce. They share the honours. It spills to Hannon. Now Cam Guthrie, handball along the boundary line. Close collects it. Over the top to Holmes. Set him a task. Oh, he ducked underneath them like he was doing the limbo. Got it off to Blitzards inside the forward 50. Cameron's got some work to do. Collects along the boundary line. Wanted to be held without it. Played for the free kick. Pick up the football, Jeremy. Smith slams it away from him. Bounces off the chest of Segler. This is comedy capers at the moment. Atkins goes to ground. Cam Guthrie scrubs a kick forward for Geelong. Myers dives in. Dunkley dives in at half-back for the Dogs. Now McRae to Daniel to Norton. Selwood steals it away. Hooks it around the body. Cameron the target. Can't take the mark. It's all over the shop as Dunkley clears to the Hickey stand wing.
Where Norton collects and tries to get around Buse. Just got boot to ball. Umpire says play on. It trickles down the line. Picked off by Collie Jasney, who kicks it back towards half forward to a 2-on-2. Rising out the back is Richards. Won the footy at ground level. Hand passes to Williams. He fakes one way, then hand passes inboard to Dunkley. He loops the hand pass over the top to Liberatore, who hand passes defensively to Daniel. He scrubs the kick down the line. It's spoiled away by Selwood over the line for a boundary throw, and there's a bit of push and shove as well. We've got a ball in on the outer side wing.
Jeremy Cameron has not moved from that marking contest where he turned around and whinged to the umpire that he should have got a free kick. So you can tell where his mindset is right now.
Yeah, that was pathetic, quite frankly, from Cameron. He played for the free kick about 3 times and then sooked it up deluxe, Berkey. Segler got the clearance from the stoppage. Karmas went with one hand, controlled it down but couldn't take it cleanly. Norton was there. Now Liberatore, sweeping handball out wide toward Bailey Smith. Lost it the first time, picked it up, gave it back to McRae, kicks inside the 50, blasts it out of bounds on the full. Goal apiece here in this second term. It was the Dogs by 19 points at quarter time. It's 20 points the margin now. The Dogs 5-5, the Cats 2-3. 19 minutes played here in the second term.
Henry short to Selwood, who kicks short to Buse, who's marked on the 50-metre arc at right half back. Just loads up and sends it long down the line. Segler against Bruce. Well done, Segler. Did he complete the mark before he went over the boundary line? No. So ball up in front of the Hickey stand. And here's the Bulldogs by 20 points as we tick into time on of the second.
Neither side handling the pressure overly well at the moment. Whichever side can really get a handle on the pressure and stop making simple mistakes can kick some goals.
Shallow throw in. It's picked up by O'Connor, who gives it to Duncan, and then sold his teammate into a bit of trouble, and that's holding the ball. Liberatore applying the tackle and getting off the bottom of the pack is Blitzards.
I'm not sure he had a lot of time, but I think the umpire was sort of saying you need to make a bit more of an effort.
So kick to half forward, Richards up high, can't take the mark, wins it down. McComb, handball forward for the Dogs. Gee, Riley West just left it behind. Cameron picked it up. Handball to Kolajasny. Back to Cameron, now to Hawkins. Broadcast side wing. Wastes no time. Rolls around on the right boot. Sends it into the path of Selwood. Rowan's alone inside the 50. Selwood to Myers. Myers to Holmes. Holmes to Rowan. And Rowan can send it home for Geelong. Strolls into the open goal. Kicks his second. Finally something for the Cats fans to cheer about. And Gary Rowan's provided all the joy here in this second term for Geelong. 14-point margin. The Cats 3-3, the Dogs 5-5. 20 minutes played here in this second quarter. Grandstand AFL.
Becky, if I wasn't here at the ground and watching this game with my own eyes, I'd swear it was a wet weather footy game because it's scrappy. Even that passage of play there from Geelong, it wasn't pretty. They're just hacking it forward. The ball is landing in between two players, and they're just having to scrap and fight and take a territory game almost. And Gary Rowan does what Gary Rowan does again, and he's getting out the back. So the Dogs are going to want to tighten that up and keep tabs on where he is because he's just slipping out the back. But it's not pretty passages of play, and it's going to be, as you said before, the team that's going to be able to get on top of the pressure here and the uncontested mistakes that they're making. Whoever can rein them in is going to be able to get on top here.
Margin back to 14 as Smith is tackled by Dangerfield in the centre. The umpire says we'll have a ball up. Quick to toss the ball in the air. English down to Cameron, who gives it to Dangerfield. Wobbles a kick to half forward. Stengel collects. Kicks around the corner. Bounces inside 50. Past Hawkins. Gardner at the back is tackled by Close. And now Close wins the footy at ground level. Swings around on the left and hammers it into the post. Bulldogs 5-5-35, Geelong 3-4-22, margin 13-22 played, second term.
Bontempelli now inside the defensive 50, now to Daniel. All Australian halfback kicks up the line. Guthrie and Stewart just got out of each other's way at the right moment. Kick inboard to Duncan. And now to Rowan. Rowan out in space in front of Cameron at right half forward. Doesn't sit for him. Richards comes up to meet it. Cameron stays with the play. Handball back to O'Connor for the Cats. Launches his left foot kick to the pocket. Hawkins almost. Smith out the back. Dribbles it through. Great goal. Tom did all the work. And Isaac applied a classy finishing touch. Isaac Smith kicks his first, and Geelong back within 2 kicks for the first time since the 3-minute mark of the opening term. The Dogs 5-5, the Cats 4-4. Let's go downstairs to Daniel Miles.
Yeah, Joel, the energy's certainly building as these goals start to come for Geelong. One player I'm keeping a bit of an eye on is Riley West. He's been in touch with the Bulldogs bench, just indicating a little bit of discomfort on his left hip. He's staying out there for now. Lockie McNeil did a couple of run-throughs, but I'll just keep an eye on him.
Well, Geelong are doing what good teams do. They're capitalising on the other team's mistakes. It was actually Riley Smith, the goal before, just dropped an easy handball. The ball went from one end of the ground to the other one. That time was Caleb Daniel just playing on without having a target upfield, kicking a left footer straight to a Geelong player and capitalising twice, the Cats did.
The Geelong have kicked 4 of the last 5 after the Dogs kicked the opening 4 goals of the game. Rowan wins it out of the middle, hand passes to Dangerfield, who scoots away from English. From the wing, kicks it inside forward, 50, in front is Hannon, who was bowled over and won the free kick.
So Hannon inside the defensive 50 for the Dogs. The Cats have closed the margin here. 19 at quarter time. As Jess said, 4 of the last 5 and the last 3 of the game for Geelong. Stewart races up to make the contest on the wing. He bashes it out of play. It'll be a throw in underneath the Hickey stand. Big night for the Cats, 350th for Joel Selwood. Tom Hawkins and Selwood playing their 300th game together. They started very flat. The Dogs kicked the first 4 of the game. They've come to play a little bit more in this second term at the Adelaide Oval. The Crows lead the Blues by 3 as Johannesson picks it up off the stoppage. Whacks it forward for the Dogs. Out the back, Jamara Ugle-Hagan had Stewart running him down. Lost the football inside the forward 50 for the Dogs. Stewart collects it out the back. Now Zach Guthrie, handball to Henry in front of the scoreboard. His kick errant, taken by Liberatore. He can roll and kick the ball into the centre corridor. Dale's got it now. True centre half forward for the Western Bulldogs. Surveys the field. Short lead from Bruce. Bontempelli back toward the square. That's the direction in which he goes. A wonderful kick. He put it straight into the slot. And leading up from full forward is Dunkley.
It was a great bit of play there by Bailey. He played on, and sometimes that causes confusion up ahead, and that confusion actually can work in the favour of the forwards at times. Unfortunately, I would not put my house on this fella kicking the ball straight from this position here.
Question marks in front of goal. Question marks about his future as well. Josh Dunkley from 25 metres out. He steers it through. And he gets one back for the Dogs to break the Cats' run of 3 in a row. And the Bulldogs are back out by that margin of 13 points. 6-5-41 the Doggies. The Cats 4-4-28. 26 minutes gone second term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL are Nathan Burke and Karen Peterson.
Well, Burke, I reckon you could argue that Bailey Dale's best on ground at the moment. 14 kicks and he's had 5 inside 50s, 3 scoring involvements. So I've just been watching him. He's sort of patrolling across that half back, but he's been really aggressive moving forward. And that was a terrific kick into Dunkley there. And it's nice to see the half backs have a bit of licence. Duncan's doing the same for Geelong, and he's up to 16 possessions himself. So it'd be interesting to see that. They might even be just both spare behind the contest at the moment, but they're certainly doing some damage.
See what I did there, Kez? It's a reverse commentator's curse. If you say they miss, they'll end up kicking the goal.
That's because you tip the Dogs to win, right?
Yes. It's very important, my tips.
Berkey playing mind games from the commentary box. As we're back in the middle, Dangerfield emerges with it. Hand passes to Atkins, who's run into Williams and just got the handball away. Picked up by Smith, who fended off one. Tackled by Blitzars, holding the ball. Advantage paid. Selwood kicks into forward 50. Out the back, Smith, who kicks it off the turf. Cordy playing in front of Hawkins, just paddled it to space. Stengel comes in. Now Atkins has a go, collects, hand passes out wide to Zach Guthrie, who does a pirouette, throws it on the outside of the boot. It bounces in front of Myers, who hand passes to Cameron, who gives it to Close from the right forward pocket, snaps towards goal. And it's a minor score. Bulldogs 6-5-41, Geelong 4-4-28, 28 minutes played, second term.
There's a clear intent by the Western Bulldogs defenders to be playing in front, Berkey, and it's really paying off for them. They're getting first hands to the ball.
Dale to Richards, who pulled it in with his fingertips, sticking out the right hand as he ran toward Isaac Smith to take the mark. He carves his kick inboard to Zane Cordy. Hasn't played since round 10. He's been really good on return. in the early stages. He swings his kick out wide to Karmas, down the line, Garcia up, knocked it straight into the air. Zach Guthrie maybe got into the back of Hannon, no free kick. Norton up to meet it for the Dogs. Holmes wrestles with him. Selwood wrenches the football free for Geelong. Said that once or twice over 350 games. Now close, handball to Atkins, sold the fake, got Richards out of his boots and shoots it inside the 50 to Hawkins. Hawkins on the end of a bullet pass, 48 metres out. Will Tom go back and pull out the long stick from outside 50? Hasn't had the kicking boots on in the early stages. At one stage he didn't even know where the goals were. Let's see what he can do from here. Tom Hawkins from 51 metres out gives it a ride. It's got the carry. It doesn't have the accuracy. It's a minus score and the margin is 11 points. The Dogs 6-5-41. The Cats 4-6-30. 29 minutes gone. Second term Grandstand AFL Saturday night footy from Kardinia Park. Great to have you with us on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Dale with the kick in for the Dogs. Runs into the pocket, has a bounce, and then kicks it long down the line. West in front. That's a good contested grab over Collie Jasny. Half-time here at Kardinia Park. It is the Western Bulldogs 6-5-41 leading Geelong 4-6-30. Your goal kickers for the Dogs. Ugle-Hagan has 2 and singles to Dunkley, Waitman, Johannesen and English. And for Geelong, 2 to Gary Rowan, both in that second term, and 1 to Isaac Smith and Patrick Dangerfield.
It's been an indifferent opening half for the Cats in this game. They started very slowly, and it's been the Dogs since who have taken control. They lead by 11 points at the half after leading by 19 at quarter time. 6 goals, 5-41. To 4-6-30. In the other game, it's Adelaide and Carlton at the Adelaide Oval. The Crows kicked the first of the game, the Blues kicked the next 3, and the Crows have then kicked the next 4 to lead 5-5-35 to 3-2-20 with 7.5 minutes left in the second term there. Tex has got a couple for the Crows, Charlie Curnow with a couple for the Blues. Halftime here at Kardinia Park. The Dogs by 11 points will be very happy with what they've seen in this opening half, picking up where they left off with their win over Melbourne last week. For their assessment of the opening half of this game on Grandstand AFL, your experts are Australian Football Hall of Famer Nathan Burke and Carlton's AFLW captain Kieran Peterson.
The difference there in that quarter was Geelong found their pressure game. In the first quarter, it was all in the hands of Western Bulldogs. They were outstanding. If you look at some of the stats, clearances, the Cats, they lost the first quarter by 6. They won that one by 3. Tackles, they lost the first quarter by 4. They won that one by 5. Contested possessions, first quarter, they lost by 8. They won that one by 4. So they really turned around the things that weren't working for them and got the game really back on an even keel because of their pressure going up. And certainly we mentioned it a couple of times during the call that it wasn't the prettiest football that we've ever seen, but I think a lot of that is just because of the pressure and what's at stake. Certainly for the Western Bulldogs, what's at stake there. To me, this game is going to be won by one of 2 things. If the pressure stays where it is, which team can handle that pressure the best and not make silly little errors, because we saw the Western Bulldogs a couple of times. Caleb Daniel played on with his left foot, kicked the ball straight to the Cats, turnover in the middle of the field, a goal. Riley West drops a handball receive, the ball goes one from one end of the ground to the other, a goal to the Cats. So they can't make those silly mistakes under pressure. The other thing that will determine this game is if one team drops off their pressure, because we know both of them have the ability to score and score quickly. And it looks like a night when, if the pressure does drop, a team, the way the teams sort of structure themselves, you can score against them if they don't bring the pressure, because they have a lot of players just sort of rushing forward and they're very attacking. But if they don't bring that pressure around the football, they'll get scored against heavily. So for me, if I'm either coach inside, the thing that I'm stressing the most is maintain that pressure. We cannot drop off that contested ball. We cannot drop off the tackling. We're just getting that hand in and getting a scrag on a player so that they don't get a clean possession. That, to me, is still the most important aspect of this game. And then from there, we can start talking about what we do when we've got the footy and what we do when we haven't got the football. But it's not going to be a pretty second half, but, boy, it's going to be intriguing, Kes.
Yeah, I would agree with all the things that you've just said then, Berkey. The other thing that I would add is coming into tonight, I probably was paying a little bit more attention to some of the key matchups because I was of the opinion that it would be those key matchups that might determine the outcome of the game. So we talk about the Cordy versus Hawkins matchup, or the Gardner versus Cameron matchup, or even in the middle, where do we throw blitzarves, or all those sort of different matchups, and really all of them have been a non-factor at the moment. I mean, really across the board, the teams are relatively equal. If you have a look at the inside 50s at the moment, 25 to 23, there's not really a lot to be, kind of gained out of looking at those, and including the clearances, like you mentioned. I think the Western Bulldogs are up by 3 in that first half. Kicking efficiency is dead even. So there's nothing really that's standing out, and it hasn't been those key matchups. Question without notice that I'd throw back to you, Berkey, is what do you do with Jeremy Cameron? So at the moment, he's gone, and if I get up my stats, he's had 6 disposals for the first half, and he's really had absolutely no influence. There's probably been a couple of efforts a little bit higher up the ground outside the forward 50 that probably, if you had a look at him on the tape on Monday, he's not going to be overly thrilled with. So I guess the question is, do you want to bring someone like that who's such a key to this Geelong team, and he really is a bit of a barometer for them, and gets them going, and obviously the pairing with Hawkins as well. So the question that I would throw to you as a coach would be, what do you do with him? Do you let him stay where he is and just hope that he works his way into the game, or do you throw the magnets around, perhaps throw him up the ground a little bit, put him around a couple of contests and see if he can get his hands on the ball?
We know that he does quite well when he does get further up the ground. So the choice that coach has got to make is, okay, do we restructure things to help Jeremy? Or do we say, Jeremy, we had a game plan for you. Just go out and do what we wanted you to do at the start of the game. And so this when it comes down to the coaches knowing the player. Which one is Jeremy going to respond to? Do we throw the team around a little bit to cater for him? Or do we just say, mate, go and do your job? I tend to prefer, mate, go and do your job. We had you set to play in a certain role at the start of the game. Okay, you're not doing that at the moment. You're not playing against Tom Stewart. You're playing against Ryan Gardner, who's done an outstanding job at the moment. But, can he keep it going? To me, I'd be just saying, Jeremy, mate, you're not getting to enough contests. You're good enough to get the ball when you get around it. All I want you to focus on, whether it's forward, it's middle, whatever, you get to more contests.
Yeah, I think the difference as well, I'm just sort of comparing Hawkins and Cameron. So Hawkins equally probably hasn't had an influence on the game, but at least he's forward pressure and he's making the contest, and he's been involved in 6 scores. So even though he's not kicking them himself, he's actually involved in the play, whereas I would argue that Cameron hasn't really done either of those things. So I'd be really interested to see what the Geelong coaching staff do with him at halftime.
Yeah, and he's had a couple of little whinges at the umpire, and he's dropped their head a couple of times. And so watching that as a coach, then I'd be saying, mate, I'm not going to move you, get you up the ground when you're sooking it up a little bit. So put on your big boy pants and get out there and play some tough football.
Play yourself the right way in the position you're in.
Yes.
That would be a start.
Yes, that would help a lot. But there's a lot of Cats players that are down on their normal output. Joel Selwood, he's had the 8, but just the 3 kicks. And Atkins has had 10, just the 3 kicks as well. Guthrie, just the 3 kicks, 7 handballs. So you might say there's 10, but a lot of those handballs are just little go-nowhere type of things. They're not breaking the game open with their kicks.
They need a little bit of a lift here in this second half, do the Cats. It's the Dogs by 11 points at half-time. Second half coming up from Cardinia Park shortly. We'll get a Commonwealth Games update with Ned Hall as well. It's all on the other side of the latest from ABC News.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. The Prime Minister says he believes Australians will vote yes to establishing a voice to Parliament. Anthony Albanese has told Indigenous leaders at the Garma Festival today that a referendum will be put to the people in this term of Parliament. The alleged Australian developer of a nearly undetectable cyber spyware program has been charged by Australian Federal Police. The 24-year-old who was only 15 at the time he created the spyware is accused of selling it across the world. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky is calling on the US to legally recognise Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism, and Pope Francis has agreed that the attempt to eliminate Indigenous culture in Canada through a church-run residential school system amounts to a cultural genocide. ABC News.
Hello, Costa here. Gardening is great for the whole family, And I want to tell you something that will get the kids in your life growing. It's my brand new podcast, Gardening Buds. Everything a kid needs to know to make their own garden grow. Whether you've got a big backyard, a balcony, or a little pot on a windowsill. Join Kaylee and I for Gardening Buds. Out now on the ABC Kids Listen and ABC Listen apps.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season. Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Bailey Smith steps inside, shoots the kick inside the 50 to Ugle-Hagan, who stretches and plucks it out of the night sky. Kick the first of the game to Jamara on the approach from 40 metres out, strikes it nicely, sneaks it through. And it's a 26-point lead to the Dogs again, an equal game high.
Chucks it on the boot, wobbles it inside forward 50, goes past Hawkins, intelligent tap to Gary Rowan, who runs into an open goal, and Geelong have their second.
Sends it into the path of Selwood. Rowan's alone inside the 50. Selwood to Myers, Myers to Holmes, Holmes to Rowan, and Rowan can send it home for Geelong. Strolls into the open goal, kicks his second. Handball back to O'Connor for the Cats. Launches his left foot kick to the pocket. Hawkins almost Smith out the back, dribbles it through. Great goal. Tom did all the work, and Isaac applied a classy finishing touch. Short lead from Bruce. Bontempelli back toward the square. That's the direction in which he goes. A wonderful kick. He put it straight into the slot. And leading up from full forward is Dunkley. From 25 metres out, he steers it through. And he gets one back for the Dogs to break the Cats' run of 3 in a row.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Cats own the middle stages of that second term, but it's the Dogs who have the lead at half-time. 6-5-41, the Western Bulldogs to Geelong for 6:30 after the Dogs kicked the first 4 of the game and led by 19 points at quarter time. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster calling it for you on Grandstand AFL. Nathan Burke, Karen Peterson, your experts, and Daniel Miles on the boundary. In the other game, nearing half-time, the Crows by 4 over the Blues, 5-6. Plays 5-2. Plenty happening in the world of sport across this weekend. Of course, it's Commonwealth Games time over in Birmingham, and the man who's got his eye on all that's happening in that part of the world is our own Ned Hall, who's here to update us with everything happening from an Aussie perspective and much more. Evening to you, Ned.
Good evening, Joel. And Australia don't quite own the swimming pool in this morning's session. They've certainly got a good share in it at the moment. Virtually everybody getting through safely from their swimming heats this morning, and a few the fastest qualifiers as well. The first of those to get through was Elijah Winnington, backing up from his gold in the 400-metre freestyle in the 200-metre freestyle heats. He was the fastest through to tonight's final. He'll be joined in the final by Mac Horton, who was the 4th fastest qualifier there. And while Australia did have a couple of clean sweeps on the podium last night, there's a chance they could get another one coming up in the women's 50 metres freestyle. Qualifying for the semi-finals were Meg Harris, Shayna Jack and Emma McKeown, first, second and third fastest, and it was Shayna Jack who was actually the quickest, just edging out Emma McKeown there. Zach Stubblety-Cook, gold in the 200-metre breaststroke, safely through to the semi-finals in the 100-metre breaststroke. He's, though, third fastest behind his compatriot Sam Williamson, with Joshua Young 6th fastest. The pride of Derby, Adam Peaty, the fastest man through to the semi-finals there. That will be some showdown when they get to the latter stages of that event. And also Kelly McKean and Minna Atherton have just gone through in the women's 100-metre backstroke, second and fourth fastest in that event, respectively. And in a little while, the men's 4x100-metre freestyle relay team will also be taking to the water. Elijah Winnington will also be part of that squad. He's been a busy boy over the first couple of days in the water. Now, out on the roads in the marathon, I'll start with the men's marathon first, because Liam Adams led for over an hour, taking on the best of the African athletes who are out there. Couldn't hold on in the end. He finished 4th, just outside the medals, and he's 7th place, 7 seconds behind the bronze medal place there. So great performance by him. Meanwhile, in the women's marathon, at the moment, part of the leading pack, Jessica Stenson, after over 50 minutes on the road. Sinead Diver and Eloise Wellings all there as well, as part of a leading breakaway pack of 10 runners right in the thick of it, all 3 Australians late into the marathon. But there was a gold medal earlier on today as well for Madison de Rosario in the wheelchair marathon, and a games record too on a very challenging course. An hour and 56 minutes dead for the reigning Commonwealth and Olympic champion too. Jake Lappin came 5th in the men's event there. And in the rugby sevens, a defeat for Australia's women against Fiji. They went down by 19 points to 12. The men were behind for most of the match against Kenya as well. Both sides saw yellow cards in that match and were a player down for a period of time before Corey Toole popped up with the match-winning try to see Australia win that one by 7-5. And in the cycling, good news on the track so far. Christina Clonan and Brianna Hargrave through to the round of 16 in the sprint qualifications there. And the women's 3,000 metres individual pursuit. Maeve Plouffe will be going for gold. Second fastest there, Sarah Roy, will be racing off for bronze. Still to come tonight, this squash with Rhys Dowling in action, and the Hockey Roos round things off. And that's the latest from the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham.
Good on you, Ned. Thank you. So plenty going on for the Aussies, and that men's marathon. So Liam Adams 4th, Andy Buchanan 7th, the boy from Bendigo who I used to walk to school with. He's running a Commonwealth Games marathon. I couldn't run out of sight on a dark night. So well done to Andy. It did me no good. 2 hours, 15 minutes and 40 seconds for the marathon. That is a hell of an effort. So to all our Aussie athletes, great to see the para-athletes, of course, competing alongside the able-bodied athletes as well as the Commonwealth Games. It is such a feature of the sporting landscape. So it is terrific to see the Commonwealth Games going on and all things happening. Ned Hall will keep us up to date, and so we'll have a bit of time to check in with Ned after tonight's game as well. The Cats are back out there here at half-time. It's the Dogs by 11 points, 6-5 to 4-6. Today in the NRL, the Raiders 36 defeated the Titans 24. The Sharks in a thriller over the Rabbitohs 21-20 in Golden Point. So the Sharks 4th on the table coming into that game, and South Sydney was 7th. So that had a lot riding on it, that result. And the Broncos playing the West Tigers at the moment, a minute into the second half, 12 apiece knotted in that one. The Supercars earlier today at Tailem Bend, about an hour outside Adelaide. Jake Best, a rather remarkable story. Second Supercars solo start in a car with no sponsors on it. He's 20 years old. He claimed pole. Shane Van Gisbergen second on the grid. The Kiwi, the Supercars series leader, the reigning champion, went on to win that first race. Race 2 at the Bend to come tomorrow. The Tour de France women's race continues tonight as well, getting to the pointy end of that historic sporting event, the F1 in Hungary, across the course of the weekend, and then plenty more football to come tomorrow, whether you're into the AFL or the NRL, right across the ABC network. Gold Coast and West Coast, Richmond and Brisbane, an intriguing game at the MCG before Essendon and North Melbourne rounds out the round of AFL. And of course you can hear that no matter where you are via Grandstand AFL. If it's not on local radio or Sport Digital in your part of the world, you can catch it via the AFL app. Just hit the Listen Live button in the Match Centre and click on the ABC worm to hear a call. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster with you here at Cardinia Park. Nathan Burke and Karen Peterson are our experts, and Daniel Miles is on the boundary for us this evening. About 3 minutes to go until the resumption here in the second half, and both sides are out there. The Cats are really wasting no time, already huddling up. They're done with their warm-up. They're getting ready at centre half. They might be left waiting a little while here on this historic night at Geelong, with the 3 premiership flags flying on the outer side on the Hickey stand side. Joel Selwood's 350th game. A very historic achievement. What conjures up when you think about Joel Selwood, Berkey? What's sort of if we were playing word association, what would be the word that comes to mind when you think of Selwood?
He's a warrior.
Yep.
He just knows no other way, and what I love about him is the more dire the consequences or the situation the Cats are in, the harder he goes. Whereas a lot of players, once it gets a little bit tough, and once it becomes big stakes, they fall away. They don't want to actually lift. He just lifts. And I'm looking at this new stand being built right next to the Hickey stand. I'm tipping part of that should become the Jay Selwood stand.
So if we talk about his legacy in terms of Geelong, so he's the games record holder. He's been the captain since Adam was a boy.
He started.
Yeah, just about. So captain since 2012, 3-time premiership player, a 6-time All-Australian, a 3-time All-Australian captain. He's the most capped Geelong player. He's the most winningest AFL captain if he goes on tonight. He's the most experienced VFL captain as well, holding that record. He may not be the greatest Geelong player ever. I think he'd have maybe G. Ablett Sr. would hold that title. Do you think he's next in line?
Going by those stats, absolutely. So, look, I didn't see the old Doug Wade and all those players play down here who were obviously champions in their own right, but I think if there's some Ablett names on that stand and a Selwood next to it, it would sit very, very comfortably.
Yeah, it'd be a terrific tribute. So players are ready about a minute and a half early.
The umpires are practicing their bounces as the players are standing all around them waiting for the first bounce of the second half. There's still a minute to go.
What are you blokes doing here? We didn't expect to see you quite yet. It's almost like they think that they'll get on with it, but the TV broadcasters will have their say, and we will be left waiting. Do you expect any changes matchup-wise in this second half, Kez? What can you see? We get a little extra look at it here for a minute or so.
Just scanning my eyes around the ground at the moment, I can't see any major structural changes.
The Norton to Koning matchup's been fascinating in the opening half, hasn't it?
Yeah, it hasn't. It was one that, we haven't really called to Koning's name too often tonight, but he's certainly been one that's caught the eye of just about every other football fan, particularly those who play in the back line, and the way that he's risen up to the occasion of senior football. And I will just make note while I'm watching across the ground that Blitzarves and Bontempelli, and I reckon is that Atkins in the middle, and Liberatore are all having a little bit of a scrap with 20 seconds to go until the game starts again.
Got to fill the time somehow.
What else are you going to do out there?
Yeah, it's a bit bizarre.
Knit or crossword, or
I reckon Blitzarves got a bit of a rev up at half time. He was put onto Bontempelli in that second quarter and really didn't go near him. So I expect that to be a lot tighter in the third.
We've been standing there for a minute and a half. We're finally underway here in the second half at Kinnear Park. The Dogs by 11 points. Here's Jess Webster on Grandstand AFL.
So English with the tap down, but Segler does the roving for the Cats, throws it on the boot, tumbles it towards half forward. It pitches just inside the forward 50. Richards with the tap, goes over the boundary line, and the umpire says throw it in, 48 metres from the Cats' goal at right half forward.
John Segler's been busy on Cats' debut. He was in really good form at the back end of last year for the Hawks, of course squeezed out by Ned Reeves and the captain Ben McAvoy. Playing his first game for the Cats tonight, 102nd of his career. Hawkins does the ruck work inside forward 50 for Geelong. Johannesson dives through the contest. Liberatore flicks it out toward the boundary line. Cats fans thought he threw it. Then McComb gave it back to Liberatore. Hooks it around his body. Stewart, great mark, judged it well. Stretched out both arms and plucked it cleanly. Drops his kick into the bucket in front of Kolodjasny, and now to Cameron on the left boot. A bullet kick inside the forward 50. It was only to English, but Cameron got knocked over after he kicked it, so it's going to be a downfield free kick.
Yeah, Josh Bruce copped him a little bit late, just a little bit overtly aggressive, and unfortunately he's given away the downfield free kick.
There a split second those ones. Was it as he kicked it? Yeah, let's have a look here. Well, the ball's probably gone about 2 feet off his foot, so it's probably then classed as down the field, but big difference between downfield and back at the incident.
Especially in this situation, because it's gifted Tyson Stengel an opportunity 30 metres out, slight angle left of centre. Stengel's been a sharpshooter this season. 35 goals on the board. He steers this through, pumps the fist. And Geelong pumped up to start their second half, pull it back to a 5-point spread. The Cats 5-6-36 with the first of the third quarter. The Dogs 6-5-41, 2 minutes gone on Grandstand AFL.
I think it's one of those ones where, as a coach, you'd sit back and go, was it worth, putting Cameron on the ground versus giving away that the consequence of the action was just not really worth the outcome. So I think that would be one that Josh Bruce would definitely want back, and he probably was within his rights to go and turn around and ask the question, but probably one of those silly ones that if he had his time again, he'd certainly not do that. I'm certainly watching the Blitzarves and Bontempelli matchup. They've been tussling all the way back. There's a bit of push and shove, and I would say that Blitzarves has been given the task of going to Bontempelli at stoppages. He's happy enough to drift off him once the play is in motion, but around stoppages, watch that matchup.
So no decisive tap from the restart. Liberatore coughs it up to Blitzarves, who hacks it towards half forward to a pack inside forward 50. Richards at the back for the Dogs, just kicks around the corner towards the boundary line. O'Connor can't keep it in for the Cats. Over the line for a boundary throw in between wing and half forward. Geelong into attack. Let's head downstairs to Daniel Miles.
Yeah, Jess, a bit of an anticlimactic start for those on Selwood watch. He started on the bench alongside Paddy Dangerfield, who's getting a little bit of work done on his right calf. Another side that's doing a little bit of work, Riley West. He's been on the bike and he's doing a couple of run-throughs. Still a little bit sore in that hip.
doing his best to prove his fitness as Cam Guthrie kicks inside the forward 50. Rowan couldn't mark. Close ran past it. Scooped up by Dale to Bontempelli. Exits the defensive 50. Dangerous kick. It'll work out for Williams, who pushed Holmes off it. Went back and got the football. Hooks his kick around the body. High ball. Dunkley stopped in his tracks because Buse was coming the other way. And Jed Buse pulls in the mark just in front of the AFL logo out of side. Cats trail by 5 points. Haven't led by at any stage this evening. Buse pumps them inside the forward 50. Cameron with a rise. Can't take it. Close to Hawkins, who shoots at Golan and puts the Cats ahead. Tom Hawkins with his first and his 50th of the year. And it gives Geelong the lead for the first time tonight. 6-6-42 the Cats. The Dogs 6-5-41. 4 minutes played, third quarter, Grandstand AFL.
Well, sometimes, Kes, we can overcomplicate footy. That was just Buse taking the intercept mark on the wing, wheeled around, kicked the ball 30 metres out. You've got 3 big fellows going up for it, but most importantly, they had another 4 players on the ground. Just weight of numbers. The quick handball out to Hawkins, who recovered from the marking attempt really, really quickly, and a lovely snap at his left. We know Tommy's equally effective on his left and his right, but just get the ball to a dangerous spot, get numbers there, and create something out of nothing.
All of a sudden, both teams have come alive. This is a little bit more what we expected with the pressure, and much better start to the second half.
The Dogs needing a response after starting so well from the middle. Blitzarv's out the back of the stoppage. Hand passes to Dangerfield. Gives it to Segler. He's stripped of it. Liberatore in there. Hand passes out to McRae, who kicks towards Bontempelli at centre-half forward. Hand passes to Johannesson from 45. Eyes an open goal square. It trickles over the line for a minor. And scores are level. 6-6 apiece through 5 minutes of the third.
Geelong didn't get the memo. Never handballed to a ruckman. They handballed to Segler, he just dropped it, and should have been a goal there to the Western Bulldogs.
Well, he's a new ruckman. They didn't know. They thought maybe this is a different type of ruckman.
No, they're all the
same old ruckman.
All the same.
Same old ruckman. Here's Hawkins, who marks the kick in the centre of the ground. Aggressive option from Stewart. Now to Isaac Smith. He wheels onto his left boot, sends it inside the 50. Cameron! Twisting in midair. Comes over the pack. Pulls it to his chest. That's an outrageously good mark. Beautiful body control from the Cats spearhead as he drags it in 30 from home.
That was probably Geelong's best passage of play all night, I would think. Coast to coast from a kick in, directly up the centre of the ground, and Cameron, what a mark.
Now what have you got in front of the big sticks, Jezza? Can he finish it off in style? No. He just sneaks it in. Daniel Miles thought the start of the third quarter was anticlimactic. It was nothing compared to that. 1 point the margin. Cats ahead. 6.5 gone in the third.
Dale with the kick in. Finds Daniel in the back pocket. And then kicks it out wide to the wing where Williams marks in space. Defensive side of the wing. Hand passes to Richards, who goes for a run. His kick looking for West. And it falls at his feet. Buse can't keep it alive, and it goes over the line for a boundary throw in at right half forward for the Dogs. And now trailed by a point, 7 minutes into the third.
Joel Peterson and Jess Webster calling it for you on Grandstand AFL. Nathan Burke, Kieran Peterson, your experts. Daniel Miles on the boundary. Segler front spot in ruck. Controls it down. Holmes underground hand pass to Dangerfield. Underground kick not intentional. Stolen by Dunkley of the Dogs. Daniel. Nice hand pass, sharp hand pass to Bontempelli. Hoists a kick high inside the 50. Norton rises, gets out the back. Chance for Bailey Smith, rides the bump of Henry. Handballs to Bruce, tries to step one, went too many. Caught holding the ball, no, not paid. Segler comes away with it for the Cats. Hooks his kick outside the defensive 50 and a sliding mark taken by Myers.
Spears a kick down the line. Stengel marks on the wing. As players streaming forward, kicks into the corridor. Smith marks inside the centre square. Hand pass to Duncan at half forward. He slipped over. And on his hands and knees, managed to get the hand pass out to Zach Guthrie, who chips inside forward 50. Myers kept running and has marked 48 metres from home, 10 metres in from the boundary.
That inability to slow Geelong down, which the Western Bulldogs did really well in that first half, it's evaporated. And they're getting the ball from one end of the ground far too easily.
Meanwhile, Myers is chipped short to Hawkins, and why not? And he's marked probably 45 metres out from goal and a slightly better angle.
A few questions being asked of the Dogs defenders of their teammates, because Ed Richards was left on Tom Hawkins, which is never going to end well for the Bulldogs. So a few questions being asked of the defenders for the Dogs.
Tom Hawkins on the approach for 3 in a row to start the second half for the Cats. Hawkins takes care of business. He's got 2. And Geelong have the momentum here in the third. They move to 7-7-49. Bulldogs 6-6-42 through 9 minutes of the third. Your experts are Nathan Burke and Karen Peterson.
Well, Kez, that structure of the Bulldogs' defence, which was so good, the Cats just could not get through it for a quarter and a half. Now they're just slicing through it at the moment. And importantly, they're getting players out the back of the contest, which is really, really damaging. You get someone out back over the top. You've got Cameron, you've got Hawkins, you've got Gary Rowan, all really smart players who are quick off the mark. It's going to be really, really tough to stop them in this third quarter. So the Bulldogs need to start winning the ball at the source, getting the ball going their way, and at least if Geelong are going to take the ball from one end to the other, they've got to do it from really deep in their defence.
Dogs led by 26 after Jamara Ugahagan kicked his second at the 7-minute mark of the second term. Cats have kicked 6 of the next 7 goals. They're forcing it forward here as Blitzar's handballs to close to Cam Guthrie for another for the Cats. The claws have come out here in this second half. And in the early stages, Geelong are ripping the Dogs to shreds. 4 in a row in 10 minutes. They only kicked 4 in the entire first half. And Geelong lead by 13 points. 8-7-55 to the Dogs 6-6-42.
If Geelong get up here, the first question I'm going to ask whoever we're privileged enough to interview is what on earth was said at halftime in the Geelong rooms, because this couldn't be a more contrasting style of play than what it was in the first half. In the first half, it was stagnant. There was no movement. The Geelong players were flat-footed. There was just nothing really ahead of the footy. And fast forward to the second half, and it couldn't be more different. All of a sudden, we've got players who are bursting through the front of the stoppages and an overlap run and handball, and you see the result, 4 goals straight. Here we go.
English wins the tap down, but the umpire's found a free kick. It's going the way of the Bulldogs, I think, for a jumper hold off the ball. Dunkley will win the free kick.
Well, they needed a free kick in there because their centre clearances, they were losing 3-1 so far this quarter.
Chip short to McComb, 2 kicks from goal. Dogs desperately need to respond here. McComb just pitches it to a dangerous position. Hagel in front. Fisted away from him. Smith collects the ball at ground level. His hand pass intercepted by Close. Garcia lays a tackle and forces a stoppage 48 metres out from the Dogs' goal. They trail by 13 points. 12 minutes played in this third term.
Looking for a response, having conceded the first 4 in quick time in this third quarter. Dunkley passed the football. Dangerfield got it somehow to Kolodjasny, who tries to fight through the tackle of Waitman and Liberatore. Got the football loose. Diving on it was Dunkley. Dragged back in. Umpire at the top of the 50 says a ball up. Dogs by 19 points at quarter time, 11 at the half. It's now an 13-point Geelong lead. 12 minutes into this third quarter as Smith tries to shape the tackle. Got the handball away. Kolodjasny to Selwood. Close quarters to Cam Guthrie. Now to Blitzarves. Hacks it forward through the centre of the ground. Gardner rises over the top of Karmas. Almost pulls it out of his hands. Takes a mark in the centre of the ground. Surveys the field. Doesn't see a lot that he likes before he moves it on.
Oh, wanted to almost swing it out wide to Richards. Instead went with the hand pass and put Cordy under all sorts of pressure. And now Richards collects for the Dogs, has a bounce inside the centre square and kicks it out to Dale on the outer wing. So Dogs maintain possession until that kick from Dale. You don't hear that very often. He's coughed it up to Duncan, who marks, and hand passes to Zach Guthrie, who kicks down the line. Close has gotten out the back. He can cross forward 50, run to 40, easy as you like. The Cats are on fire. 5 in a row now in this third quarter. They move to 9-7-61 to the Dogs 6-6-42. All of a sudden the margin is 19 points the way of the Cats. 13 played third term.
Well, Bailey Dale, you never compound one error and turn it into 2. He turned the ball over by foot, which he was outstanding in the first half. and then he ran forward to pick up a Geelong player who was already covered and allowed Close to just sneak out the back. I've got no idea what he was doing coming forward because he had Close 15 metres over the back and a great kick by the Geelong player. Close just turns around and runs in the open goal from 30 metres out, but Bailey Dale, that's a minute he want back.
Let's go downstairs. Daniel Miles.
Guys, Gary Rowan has just headed down to the rooms. The doctors have been huddling around one of the screens they have down here on the bench, looking at some vision, and they've been going down to him in the forward line. We've just seen him come off and go down to the rooms, and Brandon Parfitt's getting a bit of a rub on the boundary line here.
He ran down there rather purposefully as well, Rowan. He went at full pace as Bontempelli rips it out of the middle for the Dogs, punches the kick forward on the head of Ugle-Hagan. It's punched away from him by Kolodjasny. Stewart chases it out toward the boundary line. It'll be tossed back in. 5 on the bounce to start the third term here for the Cats. And they've opened the game up to a 19-point lead in the blink of an eye. This is what this Geelong side can do with the firepower they've got. Thrown back in. Segler inside the defensive 50. Dangerfield. Dangerous handball. Stewart tries to go through the contest. Then Atkins puts his head down. Burrows his way through. He's wrapped up by Dunkley. Ball up 30 out from the Dogs' goal at the city end.
Umpire tosses the ball aloft. Norton pushed out of it by Segler. Smith out the back. He couldn't come up with it. Stengel has a go. Hand passes to Zach Guthrie, who gives it to Stewart from right half forward. Spears a kick down the line. It's intercepted by Richards of the Bulldogs. Hand passes to Williams from half forward. Kicks into the pocket to a pack. Geelong out the numbers, and De Koning takes the intercepting mark in the back pocket.
Continues to impress the young Cat. Just 21 years of age. A big job tonight on Aaron Norton. Measures his kick outside the defensive 50. English bashes it toward the boundary line, spoiling it away from Hawkins. Zach Guthrie knocked the football loose from McComb, picked up by his brother Cam, kicks around the wing broadcast side. Stengel had 2 to beat. Williams through the traffic, just got his kick away. Stengel hot on his hammer, knocked down by Cordy, scooped up by Richard, sends the Dogs inside the 50. Ugle-Hagan paid the mark. A good sprawling take from Jamara. 45 from home, 30-degree angle to the left of centre. Did he have enough of it?
Yeah, I think I'd give him that one. He controlled it, plucked it in there. Maybe a bit of a tug of the arm. I've seen West played.
Half of one and half a dozen of one and 6 of the other. And Jamara Ugle-Hagan, who's been impressive again tonight, kicked the first of the game, the first of the second term as well. For the first of the third here for the Dogs, he's kicked from right inside the 50s out to the left. It was never coming back for the Warrnambool product. And the margin is 18 points. 3 straight kicks by the Cats lead. 16 minutes gone here in the third term.
Zach Guthrie with the kick in, advances 10 metres and then thumps it down to the wing. It's brought to ground. Atkins at the fall of the ball. Hand passes to Selwood, who gives it to Buse. Loops a hand pass over the top to Myers, who gives it to Holmes running on the inside. That's a beautiful delivery to Stengel all alone at half forward. The Cats just might go coast to coast. Stengel squares the footy and then kicks it directly down the throat of Karmas.
Karmas now lobs it out into the path of McComb in front of the scoreboard for the Dogs. A bouncing ball's collected. Eventually kicks down the line, and well done Stewart. Nudged West under the football and intercepts. That's what he's so good at. And launches the Cats inside the 50. Hawkins in front, can't mark. Bruce does the roving in defence for the Dogs. Handball to McComb, closed down by Close, just got his kick away, turned it over. Zach Guthrie slides into mark on the front edge of the square.
Coming up for disposal, number 16, Zach Guthrie. This one a short foot pass to his brother Cam, who's marked just inside the line, 50 metres out from goal. Wants to move it quickly, so just sends a long bomb towards the goals. It's offline though for a minor. 9-8-62 Geelong play Western Bulldogs 6-7-43. 18 minutes played third term.
Dogs waste no time. bringing it back into Richards. Let's go downstairs to Daniel Miles.
Guys, it wouldn't be a game celebrating Joel Selwood unless a little bit of blood was spilled, and Patrick Dangerfield's taken the honour of the first bit of claret. He's on the bench with a blood nose and a little bit of towel, so we should see him back on soon. It's nothing too serious.
Just needs their full head tape to mark the occasion.
That's the one.
In style, I think, Dan. Thank you. Garcia marked the kick from Richards after a nervous moment. Now to McRae. Couple of time All-Australian. He was huge last week in the last quarter. McRae kicks up the line, looking for Bruce. Stumped away from him. Ricochets away to Smith, and the Cats scythe it through the middle once more. Close is forced back behind the mark. 80 from home for Geelong. Puts it into the path of Stengel. Lovely weighted kick. Stengel marks 52 out. Right half forward, darts it inside the 50 and finds the chest of Henry, who's a couple of paces in from the boundary line. Myers it is, who's got it 45 from home. So Brian Myers hasn't kicked a lot of goals this season. 7 goals, 10, but he kicked 1 goal, 1 last week against the Power. We know he likes that arcing run. Starts out to the left, hooks back right, sends it on its way. That's a wonderful finish. Brian Myers makes it look easy, just as this Geelong side's doing in the third term. They've jumped out to a 25-point lead with 6 unanswered goals in the third quarter. 10-8-68 the Cats. The Dogs 6-7-43. 19 and a half minutes gone in the third term on Grandstand AFL.
I don't actually know how, Berkey, that he makes that work, that angle. The way that he runs his arc it actually defies a little bit of logic, the way that ball was able to come back through. That's a terrific finish. It'd be easy to argue that the Cats haven't really missed Tom Stewart over the last 4 weeks. They've gone 4-0 without him, but he's starting to have a real impact on this game. There was a piece of bodywork that he put out on the wing over there where in a one-on-one contest, he was just able to nudge his opponent with ease out of the way. He's up to 13 possessions. He's had 7 of them intercept possessions as well.
So the Dogs need something here in the third. It's from the middle. McRae's kick is smothered by Dangerfield, who hunts after it brilliantly. Myers collects, kicks it inside 50, and close is marked in space, 49 from goal. Moves it quickly, pokes it into the pocket where Smith has marked 5 metres in from the boundary.
The difference in this game is it's not the stars that have lifted for the Cats. It's it's played on.
No, Smith tries to kick inboard. It wasn't a good one. Cameron picks it up. He's stripped of it, holding the ball. Free kick to the Dogs at half back to McComb.
So McComb to Daniel. He chips into the middle of the ground to McRae. McRae whips his kick across the back edge of the square. Hannon marks for the Dogs, who trail now by 25 points. 21 minutes gone in this third term. They haven't kicked a goal here in this third quarter. The Cats have kicked 6. Liberatore at half forward. Spots up West, all alone inside the forward 50. Thought about going over the top to Bruce. He'll go back and take his kick from 40 metres out, 45-degree angle to the right of centre.
It's the first time they've really connected 5-6 possessions together in this whole quarter. But to finish off my point prior, it was really Waitman, Garcia, Johannesson, West all started really well, but they've gone out of it. But it's the lesser lights for the Cats who've really lifted.
Goal a game. Played every game since round 9 for Riley West. Set shots on the way, but he pushes it to the left. A minor score, the third minor score for the Dogs in this term. The Cats conversely have kicked 6 goals 2. They lead by 24 points. We are 22 minutes into this third term. Remember, they trailed by 26 early stages in the second.
Duncan brings the ball back in, finds Kolajasny at half back, and then chips short down the line to Holmes. And also chips short down the line, looking for Smith, but a good spoil by Liberatore sends it over the line for a boundary throw in. Defensive side of the wing here on the broadcast side. Jess Webster and Joel Peterson calling on the action, with Karen Peterson and Nathan Burke, your experts, and Daniel Miles on the boundary.
Ball tossed back in. Segler ends up going uncontested. Almost had it ripped away from him by Liberatore. Got it away to Dangerfield, who got a kick away and a lot of dirt as his boot left the ground. Ricochets into the centre of the ground now for the Cats. Duncan links up by hand with Zach Guthrie. Out to Stengel on the Hickey stand wing. Overlap run from O'Connor. He's got options absolutely everywhere. Now to Holmes at true centre half forward. He wheels around, surveys the options, kicks to full forward. Cameron out the back, takes it on his chest.
Well, again, it's the Geelong players getting out the back and Stengel running from one side of the ground to the other. It's Myers getting a hand on the ball. It's Close getting his hands on the ball.
Here's Cameron around the body. The onslaught continues. 7 in a row now for Geelong. A game-high 30-point lead. And finally, on this night of celebration, the Cats have come to the party. 11-8, 74 Geelong. The Bulldogs 6-8, 44, 23 and a half minutes played in the third quarter on Grandstand AFL.
It's that ball movement that we're talking about, Berkey. The Dogs are just unable to stop the quick ball movement particularly through the centre of the ground that Geelong is producing at the moment. They're catching the Bulldog defenders behind and out of position, so therefore they're not able to impact the contest as they were in the first half. And we were talking about the lack of impact that Cameron's had in the first half. He's currently up to nine touches. He's kicked a goal and he's had 6 scoring involvements, so he's certainly lifted his work rate in this third term.
His first of the night moves him to within 4 of Charlie Curnow in the Coleman races. Geelong again winning out of the middle. Atkins a long bomb to full forward. Hawkins and Cameron there, but it spills out the back. Hannon, his hand pass to Gardner, although they coughed it up. Stengel, his snap from the pocket. Geelong can do no wrong. His second, and Geelong are piling on the pain here in the third quarter. A new game high 36-point lead, 12-8-80. The Bulldogs 6-8, 44-25 played third term.
Mitch Hannon he's at a night to forget. You can't get the ball and just handball it blindly ahead of you when you're playing against the Cats forward line. They're just far too dangerous. But that centre bounce clearance, they've just dominated this quarter, 11-7 in favour of the Cats. Whereas in the first quarter, probably almost the first half, it was the Western Bulldogs dominating that area of the ground. Clearance is 41-35 now in favour of the Cats. They're just dominating every part of the game at the moment, and we were worried which team would drop off their pressure, and it's the Western Bulldogs.
Remarkable turnaround here in this third term. This is some sort of statement from Geelong from the restart. Blitzarves an English fight for the football, and Dangerfield emerges with it, clean as you like, to Close, who picks up on the half volley. Handball to Atkins, tumbles it inside the 50. Cameron leads the race, bounces over his head. Hawkins out the back. Even the tackles are sticking for the Cats at the moment. He wraps Gardner up, the one-time Cat who didn't play a game in the hoops. Now out there for the Dogs and under siege in defence. A ball up inside the arc for Geelong.
8 goals in a row this third quarter. Stoppage inside forward 50 for the Cats, although Bontempelli wins the clearance. He tumbles it out to the wing. Johannisen leads the race against Blitzarves. Hand passes backwards to Williams, who pokes the pass down the line to Ugle-Hagan. He's kept it alive and did really well to win the footy at ground level. Hand pass inboard to Johannisen from the wing. Goes for a run, sends it to half forward. Bruce in a one-on-one against Henry. Bruce wins it out the back, but he's got nowhere to go. Henry with the great tackle. Holding the ball, I think it was in the end. Advantage paid anyway. Geelong have it through O'Connor at half-back, who kicks down the line. Rising high was Blitzarves and couldn't complete the mark. Daniel wins the footy at ground level for the Dogs. He's coughed it up to Ackers, who's his hand pass to Dangerfield. His hand pass didn't go very far. Atkins now tries to tap it to advantage. Cameron will track it towards the line. It goes over the line for a boundary throw in between wing and half forward. Cats into attack. Let's head downstairs to Daniel Miles.
Thanks, Jess. The Cats have been doing all the scoring, and they've been doing it with only 3 men on the bench. Gary Rowan's just re-emerged from the rooms. He's looking with the doctors at a bit of footage that we can't see from our vantage point here, but Brandon Parfitt, the sub, is warming up on the bike. Not ruling him out just yet, but some fervent discussions happening on the sidelines.
Thanks, Dan. Interesting little bike play on the outer side there. The umpires all came to a halt. Patrick Dangerfield almost looked like he was appealing to come off the ground with the blood rule. Umpire told him to get on with it. All thrown back in. English knocks it down in ruck. Garcia had a hand in there. Williams' kick smothered as he tried to move it forward for the Dogs. Duncan slides in, affects the kick, and now it ends up with Stengel. Handball to O'Connor on the AFL logo on the Hickey stand side. Underneath those 3 premiership flags, Hannon with a big rise. Couldn't pull in the mark. Selwood's almost dragged over the boundary line. Kept it in somehow. Blitzarves on the edge of the 50. Handball to Close. In now to Myers. Gardner takes it away. Handball to Dale. The Dogs can repel, at least momentarily. Bruce comes up, takes the mark on his chest. Cats by 36. 28 minutes gone here in the third.
Bruce swings it into the corridor to Bontempelli. He chips it laterally, finds Johannisen, who swings it out wide to Bailey Smith on the broadcast wing. He marks on the logo. Movement has become stagnant again for the Dogs. Smith called to play on, sends it to half forward, a 2-on-1 against Liberatore. Massive fist from Cameron. And Stewart sends it over the line for a boundary throw-in just forward of the wing. It is the Cats by 36 points.
Well, Liberatore nearly got killed by that pass, but he had to get the ball kicked to him because he was the only one moving, the only one wanting the ball for the Dogs.
They have stopped to a walk here, the Western Bulldogs, and the Cats are running all over them. Cam Guthrie. Handball to Zach Guthrie. High kick around the wing. Good mark, Cordy. He can hold his head up high in defence for the Dogs. Geelong's best quarter of any this season already. We've still got plenty of time remaining as Cordy goes defensively by foot to Daniel. The 2 inclusions for the Dogs combined. Daniel sends it toward the interchange gates. English up over Dangerfield. Can't complete the mark. Smith's keen to run it across the line and seek the safety of touch. Ball in. Broadcast side, centre wing. 8 goals in this term for Geelong. They busted the game open after trailing by 11 points at half-time. They lead by 36.
Ball back into play. English with the tap. West hunts after it, but he's going absolutely nowhere. Gang tackled by a couple of Cats. Stoppage on the wing in front of the interchange gates. Blitzarves and English tangle again. Cam Guthrie at the fall of the ball. Ball spits out to Smith, who kicks around the corner and tumbles it towards half forward. Backing back with the flight of the ball, Kolajasny takes the intercept mark at right half back.
Milestone of his own next week, Jake Kolajasny plays game 150. Defensively now to Stewart. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster calling it for you on Grandstand AFL. Nathan Burke and Kieran Peterson, Daniel Miles, and a whole lot of Geelong fans just watching this third term in awe here at Kardinia Park. Stewart now to Henry out at right half-back. Even the Cats have slowed down as we near three-quarter time. Duncan's got it now for Geelong. He's been prolific coming up for disposal number 22. The ever-reliable midfielder kicks around the broadcast wing off. Terrific mark in front. Blitzarves had 2 to beat, did it easily. And then his kick off the side of the boot was an absolute dead pigeon to half forward, and Bontempelli takes it on the chest.
Dead pigeon? I don't think I've heard that one before.
Well, they don't fly very well, Jess.
No. I've heard wounded duck, dead pigeon's a new one, but I like it.
They come from the same playbook.
Bontempelli short to McRae, who kicks out wide to Smith. As the three-quarter time siren sounds here at Kardinia Park, the Geelong fans on their feet in the stands to mark the end of a stunning third quarter. It is Geelong 12-8-80, leading the Western Bulldogs 6-8-44. Your goal kickers for Geelong, a pair each to Stengel, Rowan and Hawkins. Singles to Cameron, Smith, Guthrie, Myers. That's Cam Guthrie and Dangerfield and Close. And for the Western Bulldogs, only one multiple goal kicker. Ugle-Hagan with 2. Dunkley, Waitman, Johannisen and English with singles.
Well, you could excuse a Cats fan or two for being pretty stunned with what they saw in that third term. Seems like the Western Bulldogs certainly were. Geelong with 8 goals, their best term of any this season. And the Bulldogs go goalless. They led by 11 points at half-time. Three-quarter time sees the Dogs trailing by 36. The Cats 12-8-80 with an almighty statement in the third term. The Dogs 6-8-44 as we turn for home. Final quarter coming up after this on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
Know the story with ABC News Digital. Get the latest breaking news with live notifications whenever you want, wherever you are.
They are considering going to zero emissions.
We'll go ahead as planned.
And abruptly ended the case.
It will help us all get back to normal and back to all the things that we love.
Those are the kind of things that work.
There's hope for a brighter future.
ABC News, Australia's most trusted news source. Head to news.abc.net.au or download the ABC News app.
Hello, I'm Patrick Stack, and if you like great stories and you enjoy sport, then I reckon you need ABC Sport Daily in your life.
You know, who knows what sort of ripple effect this will have on their season.
The idea was, this is Liz Andrews.
They love Daniel. He's such a big personality. They really, really want this to work with him.
We basically are in a new era of shoes, and I think a new era of times as well.
It's a daily sports conversation, and it's called ABC Sport Daily. You can find us on the Listen app.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Hughes pumps them inside the forward 50. Cameron with a rise, can't take it. Close to Hawkins, who shoots it goal and puts the Cats ahead. They're forcing it forward here as Blitzarf handballs the close to Cam Guthrie for another for the Cats. The claws have come out here in this second half.
Zach Guthrie kicks down the line. Close has gotten out the back. He can cross forward 50, run to 40. Easy as you like. The Cats are on fire.
Right half forward, darts it inside the 50 and finds the chest of Henry, who's a couple of paces in from the boundary line. Myers it is, who's got it 45 from home. Starts out to the left, hooks back right, sends it on its way. That's a wonderful finish. They've jumped out to a 25-point lead. Here's Cameron around the body. The onslaught continues. 7 in a row now for Geelong. A game-high 30-point lead.
But it spills out the back. Hannon in his hand pass to Gardner, although they've cocked it up. Stengel, he snapped from the pocket. Geelong can do no wrong.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
That just about sums it up. They could do no wrong there in that third term. Geelong with 8 goals unanswered. The Bulldogs could only muster 3 behinds. And after leading by 11 points at the half, the Bulldogs go to the final change, trailing by 36 in an absolute avalanche from the Cats. 12-8-80 to the Bulldogs 6-8-44. In the other game at the Adelaide Oval, it is the Crows 8-9-57 to Carlton 6-6-42. So after the Blues led at quarter time, the Crows have controlled that game. Ben Keys has kicked 3 goals for Adelaide. Taylor Walker's kicked 2. Charlie Curnow's kicked 2 for the Blues. Keep in mind the Adelaide Oval has not been friendly to Carlton. The Blues men's side has never won there. Carlton has never won a game at the Adelaide Oval of any kind. Apologies to Karen Peterson, who's with us this evening. The Blues trying to get their first win at that venue. Doesn't look like they'll be doing it tonight. Well, they can kick a lot of goals in a hurry, as we know. We'll get the thoughts of Kez and Nathan Burke very shortly on this game. Let's go downstairs. Bit of news from the Geelong camp. Daniel Miles is on the boundary.
Yeah, that's right, Joel. A little bit of news we've been keeping an eye on. Gary Rowan's being subbed out of the game by the looks of things. He's got the jacket on, and Brandon Parfitt's been doing a couple of sprint throughs. So I'd expect him to take place in this final quarter for Geelong. Gary Rowan out with an injury that we'll keep an eye on.
Righto, thanks, Dan. So Rowan out of the game, and Parfitt comes in, returning from a broken hand. Hasn't seen much of the last little while. Nathan Burke and Karen Peterson are your experts on Grandstand AFL, and that was some kind of performance from the Cats in that third term. Kez?
Just quickly, Joel, thank you for that little reminder of the Adelaide Oval hoodoo that we've got. So
I apologise.
Moving on from that, that was an absolute clinic by Geelong in that third quarter. There's not much more that can be said other than they could do no wrong in every statistical category. They absolutely dominated. They were +5 clearances, +4 tackles, including some really great pressure that was around the ground that won't be studded, other than the 1%ers. They were +10 inside 50s, +7 contested possessions, +3 centre bounce clearances, and probably the stat for mine was the disposal efficiency in that third quarter, 73-57. So in every area of the ground, they were getting a +1 number across to the contest and being able to win the ball, not only in the air, but at ground level as well. And one of the really clear matchups that obviously that Geelong made the change at half-time was to send Blitzarves to Bontempelli in the middle. And Bontempelli, while he had 7 touches in that third term, he had 0 clearances and not really a great influence on the contest at all. For Geelong, I mean, Zach Guthrie was fantastic. He had 8 touches and 4 score involvements himself, and Tyson Stengel got himself into the game with 8 touches and 2 goals. So Bulldogs are going to have to do something pretty spectacular to stop this onslaught from Geelong, but for Geelong, it's the reason that they're the premiership favourites is exactly that, and I'm tipping they'll be pretty happy to watch that third quarter on repeat come the review Monday night.
Is what they're capable of. It was a serious show of intent. Last term underway. The Cats with control of the ball game. Will they run away with it? Or will the Dogs show a bit here in this final term? McRae with the opening clearance is a hack off the deck out toward the Hickey side. Waitman comes sliding in from a long way back, took the football and then lost it to Cam Guthrie, who kicks down the line. A little bit of a trip off the ball there between Liberatore and Cam Guthrie. That was all fair. Close has got it hard up against the boundary line on the outer side, kicks to half forward. Cameron emerges through the pack, rolls around onto his left boot and sends it low and hard inside the 50 to Parfitt, who's immediately into the action, the sub. He hands it off. Cameron thought about the tube from 45. It wobbles its way toward goal. It was an interesting looking kick, and that's being very kind. Cordy spoiled it to Gardner, got it away to Bailey Smith. He exits the defensive 50. It'll sit up here almost for Henry, cruising past his west. Handball to Bontempelli, the Dogs away.
Hand passes inboard to Bruce, who's caught by Buse. And then his hand pass is picked off by Parfitt. Out the back is Smith from half forward. Dinky little kick inside forward 50 is picked off by Richards. And it's a 50-metre penalty against Stengel. I'm not sure what that was for, but Richards will be marched 50 metres up the field.
Under 13s are back out there again.
Josh Bruce, you can tell he just doesn't trust his pace. 4 times tonight he's got the ball and he's tried to back out of a pack rather than go forward.
So Richards flares it out wide to Hannon on the outer side wing. His kick up towards half forward. Dale collects on the bounce. Spears a pass inside 50. Williams is marked, but there's a free kick off the ball further afield going to Waitman. So Williams marked 40 metres out from goal. Waitman's got the kick 30 metres from goal.
Well, he needed a little bit of help because he had 7 touches in the first quarter, and at 3/4 time he still had 7. Didn't touch the ball for half of the game, so this is a bit of a cheap one to get him back onto the scoreboard.
Just a bit of a jumper pull there from Stewart. So Waitman, slide angle to the left, sprays it across the face. Geelong 12-8-80. And the Bulldogs move to 6-9-45. The margin's 35, 2 minutes played in the last.
Just get the feeling that Cody Waitman was never going to get a lot of sympathy from the Geelong fans, having missed that. Stewart stands on the edge of the defensive goal square before he saunters in and wobbles a horrible-looking kick outside the defensive 50, and Bailey Williams ends up with it again. He handballs out wide. Richards kicks straight into traffic, then got caught by Buse. Umpire says ball up. 48 metres out from the Dogs' goal. The Adelaide Oval, nearly 3/4 time. Still the Crows by 15 points over the Blues, who can't afford to drop one in this mix for finals. Cam Guthrie squirts it out from the stoppage. A clearing kick up toward the Hickey stand wing taken by Cameron. He stepped across the boundary line. Ball will be tossed back into play on the outer side.
Margin 35 early in this third quarter. Cats have kicked the last 8 in a row. Segler is trying to get away from English, had his arm pinned, and that's holding the ball, so English will take the free kick. 2 kicks from goal between wing and half forward on the outer side. Bruce offers a lead inside forward 50. English decides to kick backwards and laterally to Richards, who's marked on the edge of the square. Runs inboard, unsure where to go, and then decides to chip straight down the corridor to Liberatore, is marked at centre half forward, called to play on, sends a high ball into the pocket. Oh, that's a lovely mark by Dunkley in the pocket.
Are you backing him in here from... Sorry, are you backing him in from here, Berkey?
No. I've seen him, these around the corners. It's not his strong suit.
1 goal in the second term, Josh Dunkley. This a very tight angle from close to the boundary line, 20 metres out. He's shaping to kick around the body He does so now, and yep, Becky, you were right. That's across the face for a minor score. Never looked like it was going through. Geelong 12-8-80. Bulldogs 6-10-46. 5 minutes played. Final term.
I don't know whether to take those prognostications seriously now, Burke. Really feel like you're having a bet each way with those. That was well called. Guthrie will get a free kick here, Cam Guthrie. And Cats fans happy with that. Hands emerge from underneath the blankets, keeping the legs warm to applaud the umpire's decision. Down here at a chilly Cardinia Park. Stewart's got it inside the defensive 50. Already coming up for, well, he had 6 disposals in that third term, all kicks. As now De Koning comes out to Kolodjasny, defensive side of the broadcast wing, whacks it up the line towards Hawkins, or front spot through his hands. Karmas out the back, tackled by Close, frenetically trying to get hand to ball to show the umpire he's making an attempt. He says, OK, Buku, off you go, and I'll ball it up at left half forward for Geelong.
English palms it down to Dunkley, whacks it on the boot, down the line. Waitman fists it away from him and then collects at ground level. Hand pass to Bontempelli, who gives it to Garcia, who hand passes to Williams. Inside the centre square, hand passes out to Garcia. His kick up towards half forward. Norton has a couple to beat. Oh, great strong mark in the contest, did really well. He's marked at left half forward, 70 from home. Long kick into the pocket. Waitman's there. Ugelhagen, it goes over everyone to the line across for a minor score. So 3 consecutive behinds here to the Bulldogs in the final term. They're not going to get the job done with that. Geelong 12-8-80. Bulldogs 6-11-47.
They might get it done. They might be still here in 2024, still trying to kick the behinds. Smith marks the kick in for Geelong. Goes short to Henry. Jack Henry, 100th game last week in Cats colours. Lifetime Geelong fan, having grown up in the region. Goes to De Koning. Calmly measures his kick down the line. Parfitt's all alone. They still haven't realised that the sub's on the ground clearly because he was unguarded. Now he goes to Selwood. Listen to the cheer around the ground. Selwood hands off to Dangerfield, who busts through a couple of tackles. Kicks inside the 50. Hawkins just getting there was Dale to get a hand on it. Cleverly tapped on by Myers. On to Smith. On to Cameron. Open goal. Another for the Cats. 9 in a row. In a second half rampage. Margin out to 39. 13-8-86 Geelong. The Dogs 6-11-47. 7 minutes played, final term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL are Kieran Peterson and Nathan Burke.
Well, Kes, the defensive structure in that first quarter for Western Bulldogs, we were saying, was outstanding, but then it was a really slow play coming off the Cats half-back line. All of the Dogs players thought, we've got space, we've got our players. But the Cats were able to just pinpoint Parfitt standing all by himself, right in the middle of all the Western Bulldogs players. Then it was just a quick bang, bang, bang down goal from the goal square. So that defensive structure from the Western Bulldogs has completely lost its way after quarter time.
Oh, it's a horrible bounce in the middle. We'll have to do it all again. Cats by 39 points. They once trailed by 26 in the second term. Selwood gets a free kick for pushing the back in the centre. Called to play on. And then kicks out wide to Stewart on the outer side wing. Chip short to Myers, who kicks inboard to Dangerfield. Got one hand to it and then completes the mark as it falls to ground. It's marked at half forward. Runs inboard and then kicks it into the arc, but rising high is English to take the intercept mark for the Dogs.
A lot of the footy, Dangerfield, Burke, he just doesn't seem to have a massive impact on the game.
Kicking efficiency just 40%.
Yikes. Here's English. Nice ball into the centre for Ugelhagen. He's looked good again. Rising for the ball with confidence and purpose. Kick to half forward, trying to open it up to Johannesson, but Henry fills the hole for the Cats. Goes short to Cameron, who's up to get a cheapie at half back, having kicked the last of the game. Knocks it back to Henry on the back point of the square. Now back to Cameron, who really is padding the stats. Fantasy football owners will be pretty happy with that. 39-point lead for Geelong. 9 minutes gone here in this final term. Low kick down the line from Cameron. Parfitt up to meet it with vigour. Rides the bump from Cordy. Couldn't get the football loose, and then he lays the tackle on Garcia. He's into the game, he's energised. Brandon Parfitt, he locks the footy up at left half forward for Geelong.
It's exactly what you want from a sub. Is if you got the fresh legs, you want to come in, you want to impact the game straight away, and Parfitt's done a terrific job of that thus far.
Playing his first game since round 12 is from the stoppage. Liberatore with the clearance straight down the throat of O'Connor, who's marked him in centre square for the Cats. Sends it towards half forward. Dangerfield with a bit of space. In comes Dale from the side. Brought it to ground but coughs it up with the handball. Atkins. Hand passes into the pocket to Smith. Tied up against the boundary line. Screws it around the corner to the top of the square. Dribbles across the face of goal out of bounds for a throw-in right beside the right point post. Geelong by 39. 10 minutes played. Final term here on Grandstand AFL.
Joel Peterson and Jess Webster calling it for you. Carlton captain Kieran Peterson and Australian Football Hall of Famer Nathan Burke, your experts. English takes front spot in ruck. Kick smothered. McComb has a go. His handball knocked down in the tackle by Hawkins. Liberatore's over the top of the football, not coming loose. Ball up inside forward 50 for Geelong. 11 goals to 2 in a row here. 11 of the last 13 for Geelong in this game. It's Karmas lies on top of the pack, and a free kick paid by the umpire. Dragged in that contest by Patrick Dangerfield, and a similar one paid in the late stages last week. And Buka Karmas comes up with a free kick for the Dogs.
Hand passes to Daniel from left half back. The kick down the line is picked off by Blitzarves, who marks on centre wing.
It's been a little bit scratchy tonight. Caleb Daniel hasn't been his normal pinpoint passing that we've come to expect.
So Blitzarves sends it back to where it came. Coming out in front. It's a good mark by Gardner. Marks in front of Stengel. Inside the defensive 50. Hand passes to Daniel. Kicks backwards to the top of the defensive goal square to Dale. Who swings it out to the opposite flank. Garcia marks in a bit of space in front of Cam Guthrie.
That was pinpoint from Dale. Riley Garcia from game number 15. Kicked a couple last week for the Dogs. Kicks down the line. Bontempelli makes some room. Left the football behind. Waitman, handball to Bontempelli. Bumped as he kicked it. Ugle-Hagan got upstairs. Couldn't pull in the mark. Blitzarves took it. Taken in the tackle by Ugle-Hagan. Umpire crosses the arms. And we'll have a ball up. The Adelaide Oval just into the last term. Still 15 points the lead of the Crows. 57 plays 42 of the Blues. Margin is 39 here the way of the Cats.
Blitzarves with the palm down, rowed by Liberatore, who gives it to Garcia, who hand passes to McRae, who gives it to Richards. Fakes one way and then it kicks the other way. Kick inside forward 50. That's a beautiful rise and mark from De Koning. A wonderful young key defender for the Cats, to the warm applause of the Geelong faithful. Swings it out wide to Stewart, who's marked in the right back pocket.
So the thing that will compound this for the Dogs is their percentages dropped to 108.8. So St Kilda's win today pushed them outside the 8. And they will stay there the way things are going, the Western Bulldogs. Cameron at half-back tries to ride the tackle from West. Got caught holding the ball. Or a high fend-off, take your pick. And it'll be a free kick to Riley West at half-forward for the Dogs. Assesses the options, kicks to the pocket. Bontempelli tried to take a juggling mark. Henry right there with him, hacked off the ground by O'Connor, harking back to his Gaelic days. And now Cameron under pressure, tackled as he kicked. Knocked on by O'Connor. Intelligent stuff. To close to Myers. Short kick over the top finds Holmes. The Cats can build off half-back.
Holmes kicks down the line. Parfitt tracking this one. Coming the other way, Gardner. Daniel in there as well. Hand passes backwards to Cordy, who kicks inboard to Dunkley, who's marked on the point edge of the square. Kicks laterally to Richards at centre half back. Has Waitman further afield. Elects to kick short to McComb, who then kicks in there. Waitman direction, who was bowled over as he marked. And he will be marched 50. That was ill-disciplined play by Segler, the club debutant this evening rather. So a bit of push and shove as Waitman will be marched to the top of the goal square.
Segler at 204 centimetres and 99 kilos. Waitman at 178 and 74. Not in the same weight class, you'd say.
And the first man to remonstrate was little Garcia. So he got just swatted away like flies.
So Waitman pops it through from the top of the square. It's all too little too late for the Western Bulldogs. Geelong 13-8-86. The Dogs 7-11-53. 15 played final term. Your experts are Karen Peterson and Nathan Burke.
Becky, I can't remember a game like this where the tempo control has been so stark in the comparison from the first half, where it was that really stagnant, almost playing ping pong between the middle of the ground. We'll play keepings off for a couple of possessions, then we'll turn it over, give it back, you do the same thing. The third quarter was electric. The Geelong players were able to run and carry and, you know, really get on top around the contest and burst through, and all of a sudden we've gone back to that kick mark turnover. I don't remember a game like it with the tempo control.
No, it's been weird, but importantly for the Cats, it's been played the way that they want to play the game, and they've been outstanding at it.
Weird but wonderful as far as Geelong are concerned. Dangerfield rips it away out of the middle and he bursts clear. Kicks to half forward. Holmes had it knocked away by Hannon. Collected by O'Connor on the outer side. Slips one and then two tackles from Johannesson. Goes the handball to Holmes, who nurses it inside the 50. Cameron, has he taken that just inside the field of play? Yes, he rolls around, hardly hits the ball, squirts across the face of goal. Smith can't take the mark for the Cats. Paddled out toward the boundary line by Gardner. Deliberate? No.
Good call by the umpire, because Tommy could have picked that ball up, but he let it run across the boundary line. So if you let it run across the boundary line, well then you lose any rights to get a free kick.
Umpire spins the ball back into play. Oh, Hawkins just rips it out of the ruck against Bruce, tumbles it towards the goal square. No one home for the Cats, and Karmas collects for the Dogs. Flares it out wide to Hannon, who dropped the mark he probably should have taken. Did the work at ground level. Hand pass to Daniel, had a little bit too much on it, and now they've turned it over. Dangerfield from half forward. Bursts through congestion. Kicks inside 50. Couldn't quite find Hawkins. Now he has to scrap for it at ground level. West is in there for the Dogs. He's coughed. I think that's a throw. So free kick to Geelong going against West. It looks like it might be Cam Guthrie who will take the free shot on goal for Geelong. 40 metres out. No real angle to speak of.
He's up to 22 possessions now. Tipping you can probably guess what the cheer is for. Tommy Hawkins coming to the bench. Patrick Dangerfield coming to the bench. Both of them have really lifted and played well for their mate, Joel Selwood, in his 350th.
Cam Guthrie kicked a goal in the third term. This for 10 goals in a row to Geelong in this second half. Just misses to the left. 13-9-87 Geelong plays 7-11-53 to the Dogs. 18 played final term.
Caleb Daniel will bring it back in for the Dogs. 34 points the margin. It's been a rollicking second half as far as Geelong's concerned. De Koning takes it on the wing outer side. Hands it off to Blitzards, who sends it back to half forward. Good mark, Richards. 18th game of the season, Fred Richards. Good to see him finally getting a run at it. He whips his kick across the back 50 on the bounce, collected by Dale. He comes down the broadcast side. Ugle. Hagan rises again. He has presented strongly. Taken a number of nice marks tonight. He's 7th on the evening. Cuts the kick in board now to McComb. Dogs won't win, but they do need to regather some percentage amid that finals fight. McComb inside the 50. Norton charges out. Can't take it with him. Stewart now inside the defensive 50. Knocks the kick over the top. His lofting pass is marked by Duncan. Now let's go downstairs to Dan Miles on the boundary.
Joel can confirm that the crowd's really come alive with this second half. Almost every time a player comes to the bench, the fans are clapping. But that said, it's pretty cold. They might just be trying to keep their hands warm.
Kick down the line from Duncan. Joel Selwood taking contested mark, but he's given away the free kick for a shepherd out of the contest. I think it might be against Stengel. Free kick going to Gardner, who kicks laterally inboard to Daniel, who swings it across the back 50 to Richards, who sends it out to the opposite wing and finds Johannesson.
Blasphemous.
Not what the home fans want as Johannesson chips short to Bruce, who's marked just forward of the wing out of side.
So Bruce has got it. The Adelaide Oval, it is the Crows by 17 points. 9-11 plays 7-6. So still holding sway, Adelaide. Garcia, handball inside the forward 50. Dunkley getting ripped down by his arm. Swings his kick around the body to fall forward. McComb got taken down in a great tackle by Segler. Big man on little man. And it'll be a ball up 20 metres out from the Dogs' goal. They've only kicked the one goal here in the second half. Came about 5 minutes ago through Cody Waitman. Segler wins it down. Stengel inside the defensive 50. Kick bounces awkwardly for Holmes. Sat up for Johannesson. He couldn't trap it. Half it. Handball to Stengel. Exits the defensive 50. Reeled in by Cameron just inside the boundary line. Let's go downstairs again to Dan Miles.
Joel can't confirm that Gary Rowan's out with concussion. Heard from Geelong, concussion that's brought out Gary Rowan. Brandon Parfitt, the sub, though, having an impact.
Thanks, Daniel, as the kick down the line is off hands. Zach Guthrie comes steaming through. Stengel picks it up, releases close by hand from half forward. Short chip inside the arc. And it is marked by Smith. 48 from home, wants to move it on. It's not a great kick looking for Colin Jasny, and they've turned it over. So, although the Dogs have turned it over again, Stewart from 50 wants in on the action, but it's marked in the goal square by Cam Guthrie. So this will be a certain goal for Cam Guthrie coming up. His second of the night, and the party continues for Geelong. They move to 14-9-93. The Bulldogs 7-11-53. 21 minutes played final time. Final term, your experts are Karen Peterson and Nathan Burke on Grandstand AFL.
Cam Guthrie started the game a little bit slowly, but he's worked his way into it really, really well, and a couple of goals for him. To me, though, it's the unheralded Geelong players who really have stood up. You know, the big names have got a lot of the footy. Dangerfield with 26, and Smith with 26, and Guthrie with 24, and Duncan with 23. But the difference that Stengel and Myers and Close and these sort of players have made in the second half has been profound.
So if you draw a form line through it, these two, so Geelong and Melbourne, equal premiership favourites coming in tonight. The Dogs beat the D's last week, and the Cats have beat the Dogs tonight. So you'd think the Cats affirming as the flag favourites at this stage of the season, as Smith had it ripped away. Cam Guthrie bursts away with it. Now to Myers. Myers to fall forward. Oh, Richards almost had a fresh airing. Gee, he went up with two hands on the goal line and just grazed his thumb and went through for a minor score. That would have been a rather embarrassing moment. Margin out to a game-high 41 points the way of the Cats. 94 plays 53.
Richards straight down the corridor to Liberatore. He also goes straight down the corridor. It's a good kick to McComb, who's marked on the edge of the centre circles. Has Williams all alone on the wing. He spots him, and the kick is pinpoint. Williams is off. A long kick to the top of the square. Oh, big fly from Dunkley. Super mark. 20 metres out from goal, directly in front.
It was a super kick that led to that super mark as well. Really great recognition out here. I think it was Williams that made that kick. You just saw Dunkley had a fly, or had the right position to have a fly, and sat it on his opponent's head. That's a terrific mark.
Well, I'm 50-50 with his set shots tonight. Unfortunately, this one's going to get pushed to the right.
It's a mark that deserves a goal. And Dunkley pops it through.
Pushed right through the middle. You didn't hear the rest of what I
said. So Geelong 14-10-94. The Dogs 8-11-59. A late highlight for the Dogs 24 minutes into the last.
That sort of started from an Ed Richards. He played on down the middle of the ground, and a low worm burner to... It was a risky kick to Liberatore, who then turned to McComb and hit another really risky kick going forward. There was three risky kicks in a row, led to a one-on-one contest with Dunkley, a great mark and a great goal, but we just haven't seen that from the Western Bulldogs in the second half. One reason is that the Cats haven't allowed them to do that because their defence has been outstanding, but just their ability to take the game on and take some risks, the Dogs have completely lost it the second half.
Level of dare that just hasn't been there. They kicked the first 4 of the game, the Dogs. They led by 26 points after Jamara Ugle-Hagan kicked a goal at the 7-minute mark of the second. It's been all the Cats since. Liberatore takes it away from the middle, kicks to full forward. Kolajasny thumps it away from Dunkley, who was trying to kick his third and repeat his last feats in front of the sticks. Through for a rush behind. The Cats 14-10-94. The Dogs 8-12-60. 24 and a half minutes gone in the final term. Geelong with St Kilda here next week before they take on the Gold Coast away and West Coast to finish the season. The Dogs have got Freo next week before trips to GWS and down to Tassie to play the Hawks in round 23.
Henry from the back pocket sends it out wide. It's spoiled away from English over the line for a throw-in, but it's going to be a free kick to the Dogs and to English.
I'm calling it a 0-0 draw between English and Segler tonight. English has had a goal to his name, but possessions and hit-outs are pretty much even, so Segler's done well.
So English from just forward of the wing sends a high ball inside forward 50, off hands, out the back. Waitman from the top of the square squeezes it home for another. Waitman has 3 and draws the margin back to within 28 points. Geelong 14-10-94, the Western Bulldogs 9-12-66, 25 played final term.
It was just great forward craft, wasn't it? You can see here on the replay that Tom Shield just got a little bit lost with Waitman, bodied him under and then was able to get goal side, and that's terrific forward craft from a small forward who, as Berkey mentioned before, has lacked a little bit of opportunity tonight, particularly through the second and the third terms, but to walk away with 3 goals in a pretty damning loss for the club is not a bad return for a small forward.
So the Dogs with a couple of late consolation prizes at the Adelaide Oval. The other game this evening, the Crows and the Blues. It is Adelaide by 17 points, 10-11 to 8-6 with 10 minutes left in the final term there. Out of the middle, the Dogs again. Liberatore goes inside the 50. No one home for that one. Zach Guthrie ran under it, and then De Koning's handball went missing. McComb got it. He got taken down with the football, holding the ball. Again, this Cats defence able to scramble and come up with an answer when they're under pressure.
I know Dacos is the favourite for the Rising Star, but this bloke has to be breathing right down his neck. Very, very close. He's been outstanding.
Such a super talent. That kick out to the wing finds Cameron, who rises high in a pack.
Kind of like coming second in the Melbourne Cup when Farlap's running.
Yep. He'll get a lot of votes. I'm sure he will.
Cameron kicks down the line and Holmes is marked between wing and half forward. Kicks inside forward 50. Cordy with the fist down. Liberatore at ground level. Hand passes to Cordy, who gives it to Daniel. Here's hand pass to Smith. Loops it over the top to Johannesson. Missed him, but McComb comes through. He's brought to ground. Play on, says the umpire. Johannesson picks it up, gives it back to McComb. He kicks and finds Daniel on the point edge of the square.
So Daniel plays on by hand to Smith and now to McRae. Left foot kick out to left half forward. West collects a dribbling ball. He's got Jamari Ugle-Hagan working inside. Hooks it further than that to full forward. Dunkley up again. Can't reel this one in. Goes to ground. Tackled by Henry. Did he drag it in?
Yep.
He did not. And the siren sounds on a night that was equal parts celebration and statement. One of the greats of Geelong reaches a massive milestone, and the Cats cement their premiership favouritism, winning by 28. On a night that meant so much, they came out awfully flat, Geelong, conceding the first 4 goals of the game and trailing by 19 points at quarter time. An early goal in the second term pushed the Dogs' lead back out to 26. It looked like danger signs for Geelong. Never mind, though. They closed to 11 points at half-time. They kicked 8 unanswered goals in the third term, kicked 10 in the second half, and ran away with it with a big statement win.
We play the game as it should be played.
winner in game 350, a three-time premiership player, the most capped captain in VFL AFL history, the winningest captain in VFL AFL history, and his side wins 14-10-94 to the Bulldogs 9-12-66. 2 goals to Cameron, 2 goals to Stengel, 2 to Hawkins, 2 to Guthrie for the Cats, 1 to Close, to Myers, to Dangerfield and to Isaac Smith. For the Western Bulldogs, 2 to Ugle-Hagan, 2 to Dunkley, 3 to Cody Waitman, and singles to Johannesson and English, each coming in the opening term. A 10-goal second half to just 5 for the Dogs. It was a big turnaround the way of the Cats, and really, if not for some late consolation prizes, it should have been a bigger margin than that. So the Dogs are a game outside the 8 after that loss. St Kilda taking their spot inside the 8. They do have the superior percentage, but with Richmond breathing down their neck, it's not going to come easy over the final few weeks of the season for the Western Bulldogs, and they let an opportunity slip tonight. Nathan Burke and Karen Peterson are your experts on Grandstand AFL to summarise what we've seen over the last couple of hours, which was a pretty big statement, at least the last hour of it, by Geelong.
Yeah, Geelong just keep on impressing me. I didn't really have them vying for premierships at the start of the year. I thought, just rebuilding a little bit. Some of the older guys are sort of getting on that back end of their careers, but boy, are they playing outstanding football. And what's really impressed me is they've got such a well-balanced team with Stewart and De Koning down there, really controlling the tools. Henry playing on that medium-sized player. Up front, Jeremy Cameron is having his best year, and Hawkins is having an outstanding year as well. And they've got Stengel, Myers and Close when the ball hits the ground. They really lack for nothing. They've got flexibility through the middle of the ground. Cam Guthrie is an underrated player. Duncan's an underrated player. They're great players, but we probably don't give them the credit that they're due. Isaac Smith, 26 possessions again today, and the goal just keeps on keeping on. He's landed on his feet, certainly coming down here to Geelong. So really, when you look at what does a team need in order to vie for a grand final and win a grand final, Geelong have got everything that they need, and at the moment they seem to be playing with confidence. Whether the pre-game talk about Joel Selwood, because there would have been people in the rooms and they would have spoke about him a lot, whether that just took their mind off, hey, we need to go out and play football, and they thought it might have just rolled on and happened, that will give them that excuse for that first quarter. But after that, they were outstanding. That the Bulldogs hung on for as long as they possibly could in that second quarter, but the dam just broke. As soon as the Bulldogs took their foot off that pressure pedal slightly, the Cats just dominated.
Joel Selwood's being interviewed by Cameron Ling on the ground. Let's hear from him.
A few of our ex-teammates too, which was great. I don't want to hold you up too long because I know that the Bulldogs are here and a lot of friends and family and everyone wants to cheer you off, but a really hard-fought win. You have now won 160 games as captain, which makes you the winningest ever captain, taking over from Dick Reynolds, so another remarkable achievement as well. Well done. Yeah, I mean, I've been so lucky. I've been so lucky over the journey. Not only with this group of boys that we've got right here now, but just the whole journey, mate, right from the start. And I'm blessed to be able to come to this club, call it work, and just have a smile on my face the whole time.
Well, I'll let you get over there. There's a lot of people who want to say thank you for all of your incredible work, mate. Congratulations.
Indeed, there are. Joel Selwood, I'd say clearly emotional Joel Selwood, embraced by Tom Hawkins. Mitch Duncan waltzes over. They will chair him off. The Western Bulldogs line up in front of the Geelong race. So too all the Geelong players, friends and family of the Selwoods. The three brothers are out there, mum and dad, as well as the family. He is raised upon the shoulders of Hawkins and Duncan. And he's raised his game to levels that few others have. Certainly statistically, he is the winningest captain in VFL AFL history. He is the most capped Geelong player. He is a legend of this club. He'll go down in folklore. And tonight at least, it is a celebration all about Selwood as he acknowledges the crowd being brought off the ground. And maybe some relief for Hawkins and Duncan as they get to bring him back down to earth. The Dogs, on the other hand, trudge off the grounds, losing by 28 points. We'll get into the Cats' rooms to soak it all up in a moment. Karen Peterson, the Carlton AFLW captain, they started so promisingly, the Dogs, and it really all fell apart in that to start that second half.
Yeah, they certainly didn't. I'm sure that the Dogs will be really disappointed with that effort. It's one thing to come down the road and play at Geelong and play well and, be within touch of winning the game. But they didn't really, apart from that, that first quarter, like you mentioned, didn't really play a game style or anywhere near their best that would be able to produce a win here tonight. So I'm sure that they'll be really disappointed, particularly knowing that they finished the round outside the 8 and, give themselves a really low possibility of making the finals now. So, their next 3 games, they're certainly no easy games. They've got Freo and the Giants at home, and then they go down to Tassie to play the Hawks, and that's not an easy trip for anyone.
Joel Selwood's embracing the entire crowd here. As a captain of a footy club, Kez, and someone who's watched him closely, coming from Bendigo, as you have and as Joel did, you went to the same primary school, you sort of followed his path through secondary school and into the world of elite sport. How much admiration have you watched on with his career with?
Oh, a lot. I mean, I wouldn't sit here and say that he's the most skilled player or he's the fastest player or the strongest player that you've ever seen play the game, but I guess there's a couple of things that probably stick out for me, and probably his durability, number one. And when you consider that when he went in to be drafted, I think he had 4 knee surgeries before the age of 18.
Slipped to number 7 in that draft.
He was told at that time, I was reading an interview during the week, he was told before he was drafted that he'd probably never, play elite sport after he had that 4th knee surgery. So for someone to go through the ups and downs of I guess, going through those injuries so early in his career, it's led to such a remarkable career and so durable. And, I had the privilege of speaking with Brian Cook a couple of weeks ago, who obviously spent a long time down here, and Brian Cook still calls him his captain, even though he's obviously now at Carlton. And I asked him at the time, what made him such a great captain, and I expected Cookie to say something to the effect of, he's such a hard worker, or he's just such a great person, or a great, whatever it was. And I'm sure he is all those things. In fact, I know he is all those things. But the one thing that he said to me was he remained relevant. And I asked him what he meant by that. And he said the amount of time that Joel spends with each of his teammates, and particularly the younger players, and, getting to know them on a personal level, and getting to understand what's going to get the best out of each of his players at any given time, and just remaining relevant and never elevating him to a status at the footy club or within his team that, elevated him above anyone else. He always remained really grounded, and to be able to do the things that he's done for 350 games, and obviously he's not done yet, and, hopefully there's another flag for him at some stage, obviously Geelong being equal favourites at the moment with Melbourne. I mean, it'd be a great, send-off for him if this was his last year, or if not, to finish with a flag so late in his career, because there wouldn't be too many other players that are more deserving of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thoughts of Karen Peterson on the Cats champion, Joel Selwood, as he embraces his coach, who's been there for so much of the journey. Chris Scott, of course, coming on board his first season in 2011, led him to a flag. And as a coach, to have a player like that, Berkey, must be an absolute dream.
Absolutely. The coach-captain relationship has to be close. You've got to be on the same wavelength. And, the way Chris Scott used to play the game, he'd certainly admire a player like Joel Selwood, because they both never took an inch, and led by example and toughness.
Absolutely. So Joel Selwood's going to lead the side from the ground, arms outstretched to the fans, and embraced with his mate Sam, who's hanging over the fence, rang the bell before the game tonight. So much a part of the spirit of the club. Mitch Duncan waits for him to go down the race as the celebration and adulation just keeps on coming. And the Cats will filter down into the rooms, having won by 28 points. 14-10-94 to the Bulldogs, 9-12-66. With you for about another 25 minutes on Grandstand AFL, so we'll get some reaction from the Cats' rooms. At the Adelaide Oval, this is a boil-over. The Crows, 12-11-83 to the Blues, 8-7-55. So Carlton has let one slip in a big way there in the finals fight, and they stay winless at the Adelaide Oval. That's a big win from the Crows, who were sort of treading water in the context of their season, despite 41 touches from Patrick Cripps and 40 from Sam Walsh. Charlie Curno's kicked 3, but Tex Walker and Ben Keys each with 3. Let's get down into the Cats' rooms for the song. Daniel Miles is there to soak it all up. Dan.
Absolutely, Joel. It's a privilege to be here as Joel Selwood sits in the middle of a really tight-knit Geelong crew that are still filtering in. They take a nice tight huddle and sing the song for you now.
Do it!
Should be fun. Hey, at home or far away. Down this line high, from door to door, down get in your park.
So there you have it, guys. There was a bit of silence just before the song was sung. That was the players getting in nice and tight, having a little private moment, a private word, a little bit of a giggle before they came back out and sang the song with gusto. Everyone's getting around Joel Selwood, as you would imagine, befits the occasion. A stirring victory that's just something that Joel Selwood's become very accustomed to over 350 games.
Business as usual, I think, Dan. We'll keep close for some reaction from the rooms down there from Geelong. The Bulldogs have left the field 9-12-66 to 14-10-94, the final score here. So the Cats stay top of the table. They move to 15-4. The Bulldogs will stay outside the 8 at the end of the round. They're up on percentage on the Saints, but a game behind. So 10-9 for the Bulldogs now. And the Cats will, I assume, head into their customary meeting before we get some reaction. So we'll stay close with them. The Bulldogs, Berkey, how slim are their finals chances now? I mean, the Saints are every bit as likely to drop a game, and so too Richmond. But was that beaten by a very good side tonight, or was that a side to you in the second half that looked like maybe they won't stack up in September?
No, they won't stack up in December if they do sneak in. But I probably expect them at the end of next week to replace the Saints. The Doggies have got the Dockers. They've got Giants and Hawks. So they're going to win two out of those, I think. And they potentially could win 3. I reckon they could beat the Dockers as well. The Doggies can win 3. The Saints have got the Cats here next week, Cardinia Park. So I'm tipping they're not going to win that. And then they've got the Lions and the Swans. So the Saints have got a horrid run home with Cats, Lions and Swans to come. So I'm tipping the Bulldogs will take the Saints spot in that final 8. Once they get in there, though, I just don't think they've got the bottom rung of players that you need to contend in finals.
So it seems like the Dogs can only win one way, which is that overwhelm you in the middle of the ground, and that is their strength, but it is the only way that they can win because they are very shaky down back. If you're a Dogs fan and Ryan Gardner has the ball, you're not just on the edge of the seat, you're probably up and out of the seat and holding onto the seat for dear life. Alex Keith not in the team at the moment. Cordy came in and did a reasonable job. And then their forward line, Hugo Hagen's starting to find his feet, but they just don't seem like they've quite got the mix there. Apart from that midfield, which we know is brilliant.
Yeah, midfield's brilliant, but the fringe players, even Josh Bruce coming back into the team, he's not playing well enough as a key forward to be a finals contender, and Hugo Hagel, he's still finding his feet. But in that third quarter, you just look, Stengel had 8 and kicked 2 goals. Myers 7, kicked 1 goal. Close 8 and kicked 1 goal. So there's 23 possessions and 4 goals between those 4. And West had 1 possession, Garcia 2, Waitman none, with no score. So the difference is 23 and 4 goals to 3 possessions and no score. And that's my worry with the Western Bulldogs. One, they can't, not only can they not stop key forwards, they have real trouble stopping small forwards. And they just lit the place up in that third quarter, did the Cats. And up the other end, West, Garcia, Waitman, McNeil, who was the sub, really doesn't really play much of a role. Hannon had a bit of a shocking night. Johannisen, if he's putting off contract talks looking for somewhere else to go, if I'm the Western Bulldogs, I'm saying, mate, off you go. Off you go. I think they've got the best out of him. I don't think they're going to get anything more out of him, so might as well see what they can get for him. McComb had 19 possessions tonight. He tried really hard, but he's not going to be a player who's going to turn a final or affect a final. They've got too many players that won't affect in the finals, and that's why they won't do any good this year.
Yeah, they're not... I mean, the twice that they've done well in finals, so 2016, they went on this monumental run and then never really got back to the level until last year, which was, again, they went on a monumental run where they had all this momentum and their game was just going the right way. And they seem to play in fits and starts too much, and they almost rely on that ability to just overwhelm teams in small periods where they haven't really ever strung together the consistency. And I think that speaks to some of the turnover they've had with their list and the state that it's in now, where there's still a lot of players in that team. They've got absolute top-end talent. Their best five on their best days as good as anyone in the competition. But, probably from about 15 onward, they start to get pretty suspect.
Yeah, and that's the difference. But the good news is for the Western Bulldogs supporters is that those players have got room to improve. Yep. Apart from Johannisen, in that fringe player, I don't think... he hasn't got much to improve, but the rest of them do have improvement in them, and it's up to Luke Beveridge and his coaches to bring those out in the next couple of years.
Tomorrow is a massive game, Richmond and Brisbane, because if Richmond can beat Brisbane, they finish the season against Hawthorn and Essendon. So with that 2-point difference, the Bulldogs might miss finals altogether. So tomorrow becomes huge in the race for the finals, and I agree with you about St Kilda. They've got a really tough run home, so I think it might actually come down to Bulldogs and Richmond. I think if my maths is correct, it's always interesting looking at the calculator. But we've got an interesting run home to the finals.
Yeah, I mean, we do, and the advantage that Richmond have is they're obviously very hard to beat at the MCG. So they've got an away trip to Adelaide, then Hawthorn and Essendon. It's pretty juicy. If you pinch tomorrow and you're the Tigers, that's his. Mick Malthouse was talking in the earlier game today and basically said, thank God we don't have a top 10 because the teams that finish in the top 8 are going to just limp in there today.
And that's why I don't like these Americanisms of let's have a, what do they call them? Those
wild card
weekends and giving those 9 and 10 extra shots to get in. If you're not in the best 8, well then you have a rest.
Well, the
break.
The NFL extended their schedule by a game over the last couple of years, and they used to have 6 playoff teams in each conference. They introduced a 7th playoff team, and the 7th teams that were getting in were so suspect.
Yeah,
they were so suspect. There's teams that have hardly even got winning records that are making the finals. It's absolutely crazy the way that it pans out.
And when you look at what Geelong has produced, they've won 10 in a row now, and you think, if someone just scrapes into finals, how are they ever getting close to Geelong and at the top of the ladder? And obviously you throw in a few more there at the top, but I agree with you. 8 teams is enough.
And even Carlton. I mean, Carlton have been entrenched in the top 6-4 all year. Now they've lost to Adelaide, and they're only just inside their position's probably quite safe. They'd need something to really go pretty wrong, the Blues, but they've lost to the Crows tonight of all teams over at the Adelaide Oval. So the finals mix is absolutely fascinating, as it is at the top, where the Cats stay atop the table. Their 15th win tonight. It was full of vigour. It was full of meaning as well, with the milestone for Joel Selwood. Let's head down into their rooms with Daniel Miles.
Thanks, Joel. I'm joined by Jed Buse. Jed, looking at the game from the outset, it seemed a bit, from our perspective, like a game of 2 halves. How did it feel for you guys out on the field?
Yeah, a bit of the 2 halves, like you said. Especially that first quarter, they just jumped us. But in saying that, I don't think we went down into quarter time too far down, which we were able to, I guess, in the second quarter, just stem it a bit more. I felt like actually in the second quarter we weren't too bad. We just didn't get a reward for our game. But then in the second half, we really started to get that scoreboard pressure, which was good.
The dam wall broke and you went on a run of goals. What was the message at halftime from Chris Scott? Because I feel like he's given you a rev up or some secret sauce or something. What was the message there?
No, there was no rev up. It was basically just get into our forwards. We've got one of the best forward line in the competition, so it's just get the ball into them. I don't think in that first quarter particularly we didn't get the ball into them to give them a chance. So it was just get it in there and let them do the thing, which they did, and it made it easy as defenders to sit behind watching them go to work.
Would have been nice to watch one of the legends of your club and indeed the league, Joel Selwood, go to work. Can't talk about this match without talking about 350 amazing games from him. What's the impact he's had been, first of all, throughout the week? What's it been like at the club?
There's just been a buzz around the club, and he's a legend of the club, and it's just it's awesome to be around and to be a part of it. I'll remember this for the rest of my career, for the rest of my life. Really, I'll look back and say I was fortunate enough to play with him. But what you see out in the field is what he brings to training, and it's all those little things that it's no surprise he's the player he is.
What's he like behind closed doors? We see the tough, the stoic player, the courageous player. What's he like behind the scene?
Yeah, look, a lot of that too, but probably the last couple of years he's just let his hair down a bit more and enjoyed it. I think you're seeing it tonight, the big smile on his face. I can see him now, he's still smiling over there with Hawk. So, behind the scenes, he just loves to work and he just wants everyone to get better. And it's just showing through with everyone.
They look like they're a bit of a cheeky combination there, talking to the media. What do you think they're saying at the moment to K-Rock?
Oh, there'd be something about all their games together, or Sal hitting Hawk up, or I don't know.
Pump each other up a bit.
Yeah, they've got big grins on their face, so it must be funny, whatever it is.
One thing that you guys can be very happy about is a win over the Bulldogs. The grand finalists last year, we know when they bring their best that they are as good as any team in the league. Does that give you a lot more confidence as you head now towards the real pointy end of the season?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're playing for a spot in the 8, so they've got everything on the line. And they're a good team, like you said. When they go, and they're hard to stop. We saw it in the first quarter. We couldn't quite stop them, but it does give us confidence. And it's just good to hit some good form this time of the year, leading to finals, because it's such a tight competition, and you just got to win every game.
Well, that's exactly what you're doing now. 10 on the trot. I'll send you upstairs to our experts, Nathan Burke, Karen Peterson, Jess Webster, and Joel Peterson.
Jed, Nathan Burke here, mate. Congratulations. You guys rolling on, what's that, 10 in a row now? So what's the focus during the week? Is it about getting those little 1% of things right? Because you're getting a lot right in the game, but what's the main focus during the week to keep that streak rolling?
It'd be getting those 1%ers, like you said. Also, probably just looking at that first quarter and just how we can stem that a bit quicker out in the ground rather than waiting till quarter time and half time. Like you said, it's just everyone looking after themselves, staying healthy, and working on those little things which can make a big difference in those big games.
And competition for spots pretty strong at the moment. Parfitt, he's a very, very good player, but finds himself as the Medi sub and comes on and has a bit of an impact.
Yeah, for sure. There's competition for spots. It's a good place to be in as a club. We've got to get Zach Tui back in the team as well. So I think from here on, there's probably going to be some disappointed guys, but it's just how those guys handle themselves when they go out, which they will. They'll be positive and get around the boys and work hard to get themselves back in.
Jed, it's Karen Peterson up here. Congratulations on the win tonight. You guys have got 3 games ready to get ready for the finals. I wanted to ask you where you think the improvement can come for Geelong with those 3 games leading into finals.
Sorry, guys, you've just cut off there.
That's all right. The question was, where's the improvement going to come in the next couple of games? There's a lot of pressure on spots, and there's only a short run to the finals. Where's the improvement going to come?
Yeah, I think it's like I just said, those little things of looking at the first quarter. How do we just stem it in the game? They looked really dangerous in the first quarter, and as a defender, we were right around. Felt like we were just chasing them the whole time, and so it's probably just how do we get the game looking like the way we want it out in the field rather than waiting for the coaches. Just a bit of that momentum shifts. Just keep making the most of it when we get the chance, and just stemming it when they've got it.
Jed Buse from the Cats is with us on Grandstand AFL. Jed, you're a father-son selection. You've spent a lot of time around the footy club. What do you think Joel Selwood means to the fans of this football club? And even, he's not from Geelong, but to Geelong more broadly. He's been such a focal point of this town for such a long time now.
Yeah, he's been massive. His stuff on the field everyone sees, but it's the stuff off the field that makes his club so great. He pushes the standards, he pushes the team, he pushes all the young guys coming in. They've got one of the best leaders to look up to on how hard they have to work to get to where he is, and everyone's striving to get to where he is, even though we'll probably never get there. But he just sets the benchmark so high with everything. It's just a pleasure to be around him.
It's something absolutely for not only, I'm sure, a lot of footballers, but just a lot of people to aspire to go about things the way that Joel Selwood has. Jed, thanks for your time on Grandstand AFL, and go and enjoy the spoils with your skipper.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Jed Buse from the Cats joining us. Geelong winners by 28 points, 14-10, 94 to 9-12, 66. The other winners tonight, the Adelaide Crows over Carlton by 29 points. Earlier today, it was St Kilda by 12 over the Hawks to move inside the 8. Sydney thumped the Giants by 73. Collingwood by 6 over Port Adelaide. And Melbourne winners by 46 points over Fremantle. Winners of the Commonwealth Games. Australia's got plenty of them, and they've got another. Jess Stenson, so Jess Trengove, has won gold in the women's marathon at the Commonwealth Games in a time of 2 hours, 27 minutes and 31 seconds. Kez, she's a remarkable athlete. That's a hell of a comeback from Jess Stenson.
It certainly is. I mean, as a female athlete, she's one that you look up to, and her ability to, I mean, that's a crazy, ridiculous time to be running a marathon in anyway. But, you know, she's had a little baby as well, and her ability to get back into the shape that she's been able to. And, you know, there's a lot of pressure on athletes like Jess, because she's had quite a lot of success in the past, and it's going to be a lot of people that were looking up and seeing how she was going to come back. So to produce that sort of result has been is tremendous and an inspiration for many.
So a couple of bronze medals to her name previously, and a gold for Jess Stenson, the Adelaide product. That is that's a very, very good effort. Earlier today, Australia in the men's marathon, 4th and 7th, and a gold in the women's marathon. So Ned Hall will be keeping you updated across the Commonwealth Games, across the course of the weekend here on Grandstand. The NRL tonight, a couple of big games. Earlier today, it was the Canberra Raiders 36 defeating the Gold Coast Titans 24. Cronulla just got over the line against the Rabbitohs 21-20 in golden points, and West Tigers have sprung a bit of an upset over the Broncos. The Tigers winning 32-18 this evening, so that is a reasonable result for them. Of course, the F1's on across the course of the weekend. The Supercars, Shane van Gisbergen, winner of the race today at the Bend Motorsport Park. Tour de France women's race as well, and plenty more footy to come across the course of your weekend. 28-point winners, the Cats, the votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year. Kez, have you got the honours?
I was thrown a bit of a handball from Berkey over there, so I'll appreciate that one, Berkey.
He's got sharp hands. He's good at that.
He is good at that.
She didn't like me saying, I was just going to say one to Libba and then a team effort by Geelong. She wanted more specific votes than that.
No, I did. I've stepped up to the plate. So I've given one vote to Ed Richards for the Dogs tonight. He was a little bit of a lone soldier for them. He had 28 touches and he went at 74%, so he didn't really waste any of his possessions, which is something that I'm sure is very valued. He also had 6 intercept possessions and 3 inside 50s, along with 6 scoring involvement. So I thought for the Dogs, he was a bit of a shining light and had a really great game. 2 votes I've given to Tom Stewart, and don't roll your eyes at me, Berkey. Of course, I'm biased towards the defenders, but particularly for a guy who's missed 4 weeks, to come back in and absolutely not miss a beat. He was not scratchy. He didn't take his time to get into the game. He was ready to impact from the get-go, and he had 22 touches and going at 90%, which is a really great clip. He had 7 intercept possessions himself and 4 scoring involvements. And as I mentioned, I think early in the first quarter, he was streaming down the wing looking for a possession inside forward 50, so I always like to see that from the defenders. And I've given 3 votes to Cam Guthrie. I don't reckon he is underrated, Berkey. He did say that he was underrated. I don't reckon he is. He was terrific tonight. He had 25 touches, he had 16 contested possessions, so when the game was there to be won and the heat was around the middle, he was there and he was having a big impact. He also had 5 clearances and a good return of 2 goals too. Apologies to Isaac Smith, who had 26 touches and kicked a goal. He was also fantastic. However, I've given my 3-2-1, and that's how it is. 3
to Cam Guthrie, 2 to Tom Stewart, 1 to Tom Liberatore. Happy with that, Berkey?
No, I had the first 2 right, and I had Libba as the one for his 16 contested possessions and 10 clearances. But I'll live with Ed.
All right.
Give a Ranger a vote.
Yes, it was Ed Richards, wasn't it? So Ed
Richards.
It
was the 54% kicking efficiency. I love someone who can look after the footy, and that's what got him over the line.
I like that. Thanks to Kez, thanks to Berkey, thanks to Jess Webster, to Dan in the rooms, to Stu pushing the buttons here, to Andrea back in the studio. Cats winners by 28 points. They're 15th of the season. They're 10th in a row. Tomorrow, Grandstand AFL with Corbin, Middlemass, Brett Delidio, Mark Murphy. Big day of footy ahead. If you're in WA or the NT, you'll get Gold Coast, West Coast, before Clint Wheeldon in the Footy Forum for everyone else. Then Richmond, Brisbane. Finish your day off with Essendon, North Melbourne. The rest of your weekend is absolutely set. Stick it locked on right here to Grandstand AFL. Tonight at Kardinia Park, the Cats too good. 10th win in a row. Big night for Joel Selwood. They win by 28. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll catch you tomorrow on Grandstand. Turned around to Koning, kicks inside the 50. Ugle-Hagen up in the pack, juggles it. So Jamara Ugle-Hagen, he kicked the winner last week. He kicks the first of the night here at Kardinia Park. Top of the 50 for the Dogs. Wheels around, spears it in. Great vision. Waitman's got it again. Take two for Cody Waitman. He's not missing that. Bailey Smith steps inside, shoots the kick inside the 50 to Ugle-Hagen. On the approach from 40 metres out, strikes it nicely, sneaks it through. And it's a 26-point lead to the Dogs again.
Chucks it on the boot, wobbles it inside forward 50. It goes past Hawkins, intelligent tap to Gary Rowan, who runs into an open goal, and Geelong have their second.
Rowan's alone inside the 50. Selwood to Myers, Myers to Holmes, Holmes to Rowan, and Rowan can send it home for Geelong. Strolls into the open goal, kicks his seconds. Finally something for the Cats fans to cheer about. Handball back to O'Connor for the Cats. Launches his left foot kick to the pocket. Hawkins almost. Smith out the back. Dribbles it through. Great goal. Stengel's been a sharpshooter this season. 35 goals on the board. He steers this through. Pumps the fist. Hughes pumps them inside the forward 50. Cameron with a rise. Can't take it. Close to Hawkins. And shoots it goal and puts the Cats ahead. They're forcing it forward here as Blitzar's handballs to close. Close to Cam Guthrie for another for the Cats. The claws have come out here in this second half.
Zach Guthrie kicks down the line. Closer's gone down the back. He can cross forward 50, run to 40. Easy as you like. The Cats are on fire.
He wheels around, surveys the options, kicks to full forward. Cameron out the back, takes it on his chest. Here's Cameron around the body. The onslaught continues.
But it spills out the back. Hannon, his hand pass to Gardner, although they've coughed it up. Stengel, he's snapped from the pocket. Geelong can do no wrong.
Kicks inside the 50. Hawkins just getting there was Dale to get a hand on it. Cleverly tapped on by Myers. On to Smith, on to Cameron. Open goal. Another for the Cats. 9 in a row. In a second half rampage. Margin out to 39.
The Dogs have turned it over again. Stewart from 50 wants in on the action, but it's marked in the goal square by Cam Guthrie. So this will be a certain goal for Cam Guthrie coming up. His second of the night, and the party continues for Geelong.
And the siren sounds on a night that was equal parts celebration and statement, and the Cats cement their premiership favouritism, winning by 28.
Commitment.
ABC Sport now has its very own newsletter, and we'd be pumped to have you on board.
The ABC of Sport will provide a wrap of all the best stuff that's happening in sport every week.
Simply go to abc.net.au/connect
and get ready for a sport hit in your inbox every Friday.
Get on board with the ABC of Sport newsletter
for content that makes you think
or allows you not to. ABC Sport Digital Radio.
We're down here at Carriage Works in the Arts Precinct of Sydney to talk to business leader Sam Mostyn. Sam is a board member of the Sydney Swans, a non-executive director of Mirvac and the chair of Citibank Australia, just to name a few. We're here talking to Sam about excellence in governance. Sam Mostyn, welcome to 1+1.
Thank you, Kurt. It's lovely to be here.
You're an accomplished non-executive director, a board member. You chair a bank. You've had a long career in governance. What does success mean for you now?
I think I've reached an age, Kurt, where success has changed, and I'm a mother of a 20-year-old. I've lived through lots of incredible opportunities in my own life, and as I hit my mid-50s, success for me now is making a long-term contribution as someone who has had extraordinary opportunity and now has the opportunity to give, not just give back, but be part of the kind of change I think our community needs, particularly as we keep travelling through the COVID experience.
So you do think that with the effect of the coronavirus on community, that we as a whole will see success as something different?
I think we're all going through a period of deep reflection, whether it's because we're in isolation or they don't feel important enough anymore. Too material, too self-interested, and not enough about what does strength of community really mean as we live through a period that isn't just defined by COVID, but is going to be further stretched and tested by things like climate change, by how we provide a future for our young people into a very uncertain world, a geopolitical environment that is none of us really understand at the moment. So all those things for me combine for people like me to think more deeply about what really matters now, and that success in that environment is very different to what it was before COVID.
What do you think is a good leadership trait to have right now?
Well, I think all of us who are privileged to be in positions where we've had any form of leadership have had to think about reconstructing what it means to be a leader. So Sue Lloyd-Hurwitz, the Chief Executive of Mirvac, where I'm on the board, at the beginning of this pandemic said to the board what she had come to understand was that in periods like this, character is not made, but character is revealed. And that stuck with me right the way through the period, that what we see are the revelations of people's character through this period. And so I think we're seeing new leaders emerge, those whose character and belief in a society and community is driving them to do things that's helping us understand what a post-pandemic life might feel like. I think we're seeing some leaders, and this is globally, who don't know what to do in a state of confusion and complexity and are not resilient and resort to the kind of language that doesn't encourage communities but actually frightens or causes people to have deeper concerns about what lies ahead. So I hope that what emerges is a form of leadership that's compassionate, that's totally transparent, that is engaging with the community and does try to employ a lot of empathy. The idea that we've got to start walking in the shoes of those who are most affected by this period of crisis, I think, will determine where we see great leadership revealed. And I'm not sure we're doing enough of that real walking in the shoes of those who are most affected by COVID.
We're in this room right now. We're in Carriage Works.
Yes.
It's beautiful. What does this room, what does this setting mean to you?
Well, this is a very emotional place for me to be, Kurt, so thank you for meeting me here. Up until late last year, I was chair of the board here at Carriage Works, and this place, for me, represents the heart of excellence in the arts community and in the community in which...
Proof venues or organisations like this that they will be stronger on the other side?
Well, I think the period of voluntary administration that Carriage Works has had has meant that a group of people who ultimately